Hello. Hi. Alright, let me see if I did this right. But hello, gamers. Where's my button? Where's the... Is it this one? It is. Wait, no, that's the wrong one. This one. Wait, hold on. Wait. Ah! Oh, bonk. Ah! Okay, yay! Hello, everybody. Welcome in. Is the music too loud, by the way? Let me know if it's too loud. I have never done this before. You are here with one. We have the OG model back today. Simply because, well, I was thinking about making today an IRL stream, but with the shirt I'm wearing right now, if I lift my arms above my head, my tits pop out, and I didn't feel like changing my shirt, so VTuber model. But hello, everybody, welcome in. So, like I said, I have never done an art stream before, and before I went on hiatus, I actually didn't do art ever at all. This is like a new thing for me. I started learning how to draw in I think it was like February of 2025. It was a few months after I started my Tumblr blog. So I never thought I don't know, I guess I was just like, you know what, I like info dumping, I like talking about my OCs, and I like drawing. I'm not very good, but I try my best. So I thought, you know, let's take it easy today. We might play some Skyrim later. I haven't really decided yet. But we are gonna just yap and we are gonna draw. So right now, what I've been working on, I was told that like that's reason people be tuned not to wear clothes. I mean, you're not entirely wrong, if I'm being completely honest. I mean, I think I've talked about before how many times I stream without wearing pants. I mean, like, it just works, you know? It just works. But yeah, so this is my OC, Aqyn. Actually, I didn't think this through. Hold on. I've drawn him a few times. Let me see. I think there's no pornography on here. Hold on. Okay, well, there's a little pornography, but that's okay. But basically, I was told that, like, one of the ways to, like, get better at anatomy and stuff like that was to kind of, like, practice drawing off of, like, Greek statues and stuff like this. And I think this is... Hello? Apple Pencil? Where is it going? Hello? There it goes. I was told that, like, learning to kind of, like, or practice, like, drawing, like, statues and stuff was a really good way to get better at anatomy, because I'm really bad at anatomy. I mean, I think this looks pretty good so far, but I think it can be better. And another thing one of my friends told me, one of my artist friends told me, was that, how do I phrase this? One of my artist friends told me that if you, like, draw, like, grayscale. Hold on, let me fix something. The music's, like, really loud for me, but I don't think it's, like, super loud for you guys. I think I'm just gonna do that. How is that? Is that okay? Or is that still... Wait, I think I made it louder instead of quieter. There we go. I'm gonna be so real. I was having a hard time focusing while I was talking just now because this music is, like... It says on it, bug music. That's what it's called on YouTube, just bug music. So I thought, you know what? I don't think that fits the vibe of the painting, but like, I fuck with bug music, but this is kind of, this might be too bug. Hold on, let's go to this one. Oh, actually, I don't like that. We're not even drawing yet. I just have to pick the fucking, the fucking background music. Okay, let's do this one. Nintendo music won't steer me wrong. Nintendo music usually works. Because I wanted to make sure, because I have my BGM, but like I didn't want that to just repeat over and over again. There we go. Yay! Okay. I wasn't cool enough for bug music. I'm sorry. I don't know if you guys could hear it, but it was too bug for me. I'm sorry. Well, welcome in, everybody. Hi. So, yeah, I feel like there's something else I was gonna say. Oh, but yeah, I should probably put in other references for Aqyn, I think. Because what I'm doing is one of my artist friends told me basically to draw like grayscale and then color it, and that would make things be a little bit easier. No Eldritch model today. I thought for the second official stream back we would go back to the classics, you know, go back to the basics. But welcome in. Let me read names. I couldn't read names last time because it was going so fast I couldn't overwhelm. But welcome in Shoes, welcome in Entanglement, welcome in Zia, welcome in Epic, welcome in Wolff. Wolff got first, congratulations. Welcome in Game Sniper. But it's been a pretty good week, so I'm trying to like, there is part of me that's like, do I just look down the entire time? I feel like I'm like stalling because I'm nervous. Which is like, why the fuck would I be nervous? But I guess there's part of me that's like, do I just look down the entire time? You know? Or do I like, am I supposed to look at my screen? Because I feel like I'm gonna look really stupid the whole time because I'm gonna be looking down. Like when people do art tablets, like I have the little art tablet thing from VTube Studio, but like, do you look at the tablet and not look at your pen? So I'm probably gonna look really goofy while I'm doing all this. Hi, Senna. So, but basically, that was the idea, is if you color in grayscale first, it's like good practice, but also make your colors pop later. So we're gonna try to make this man beautiful. I'm low-key really proud of his nose. I think his nose looks really good. And I do want to clarify, like I said before, I don't think I'm a very good artist. I very much consider myself a beginner. So we're gonna try and we're gonna see what happens. And I think part of the reason I like consider myself a beginner, or I don't consider myself as like very good, is because like my method when it comes to like stuff like this, where I'm like painting, right, is I kind of just like, okay, this is what I do. This is really stupid, but you'll see what I mean. I think this like looks really nice, but we need to extend this highlight. Like you can kind of see like here, sort of. You can't see where my Apple Pencil is. See how there's like, okay, hold up. I'm gonna try, here's my thing. It's like, oh, hi, Orchid. When I'm like doing something, I feel like it's easier if I point at things. Okay, I am using Procreate, by the way. I feel like Procreate is really good, like baby's first like software. I need to make my layers like, but basically I feel like what I've learned from drawing is a lot of drawing, like just in the like year that I've been doing it, is a lot of art is like learning how to see stuff. So like, do you see how there's like this shadow? Oh, whoopsie. What layer am I on? Fuck, not this one. Like this one right here. Like, I feel like that's part of what I'm trying to do, is figure out like where the shadows are and where the highlights are, you know? So, but that's why I say my art style is kind of scuffed, because like, I feel like this is what I do. Okay, I will just show you. I don't know why I'm so nervous. I'm like literally sweating. I feel like I'm gonna like make one line and someone's gonna be like, this looks like shit, eebee, and I'm gonna be like, oh no. But literally, I just do this. And I probably should have thought this through before I like actually was like, you're an ice cream. It's like, maybe you should try not being nervous about art. I feel like this should be like a little bit brighter. But that's what I do, is I overemphasize everything. And then I just blend the shit out of it. And like, I don't think that's what you're supposed to do, to be honest. But then like, if you think about it, it's like, I don't know. Is there really a right way to do art? I don't know. But I feel like, yeah, I feel like maybe this should be like here. And maybe it should be brighter. Maybe I combine these. I don't know. Because I want his titty to pop, you know? We need his titty to pop. That's always the most important thing. Let me see. But yeah, I had a pretty good week. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really know how to do an art stream, so this is like a new experience for me. It's probably painfully obvious. But I started developmental edits on my novel this week. I got to start, I finally printed the whole thing out, and I had finished like compiling, actually no, I want this to go up. I finished compiling on my feedback. And now I'm doing my first like full read through since I like first finished it with all that feedback in mind. And I'm starting to think about, ooh, wait, that looks good. Wait, I kind of doubted the process, but now I'm kind of fucking with it. But I basically am now doing all of the, I'm reading through it again, right, with all that in mind. I haven't done a full read through in a month, so I'm hoping, I'm already feeling pretty good about it. I do have another story for you though, about my, motherfucker, I did this on the wrong layer. It's fine. Okay, you'll notice there's two highlight layers here, by the way, right? And the reason for that is this was supposed to be the base layer, and then I started doing highlights on it anyway, so we're just... It's fine, okay? Because I tried to get rid of this, like, I tried to, like, color, like, take out the gray at one point, and then redo it, but I couldn't get his nose to look right again. And I told you I was really happy with the nose. So, okay, we're gonna try this again. We're gonna make sure we're on the right layer this time. But I do think that it went really well so far. I've only gotten through like the first like few pages of it, but I'm happy with how it's coming along. Let me see, because I'm not really going in order, low-key, of like shadows, highlights. Like, I'm really like, I don't know, I have this sketch here, and I think the sketch looks good, but low-key my tell is like if I take it off. Like, I know it looks really cursed if I do that, right? But like, look how defined the nose is. Well, it kind of is, it kind of isn't, right? Like, that's kind of my test, is if I take that layer off, does that look okay, right? You can kind of also see like a little bit of like a not as crazy highlight over there. Let me flare this out a little bit. Like, not highlight, but like there's like a little shadow like right here, sort of. Like, it's like the like fold of his armpit. How do you guys feel about armpits? It's not an eebee game stream if we don't talk about one niche fetish every once in a while. I feel like armpits are like the new feet. You know what I mean? Right? Like, I feel like hi eebee, welcome in. Men art. I know, right? But I low-key feel like armpits are the new feet. Like, I feel like that used to be the big thing, is like everyone was into feet and that was like the bit, and now it's like everyone's into armpits, and I'm like, I kind of feel left out, to be honest. Like, I'm like, not because I'm like, well, no, I mean, am I into armpits? I don't know. I think I'm gonna have to think about it a little bit more. I'm not entirely sure. See, I feel like there's like a shadow, like, I don't know, maybe that's too dark then is what it is. Let me go back. I actually don't like that. Put it back. Put it back to how it was. Put that thing back where it came from, or so help me. There we go. Okay. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make just like a slightly like darker highlight in the middle, because I feel like I'm seeing that here, but maybe it's only like over here. I feel like that's kind of what I do when I like paint stuff, is I just look really hard. As stupid as that sounds. I've been directly surveying people on this topic. They agree armpits are more acceptable than feet socially. Yeah, it's like a trend, you know? Like, it feels like a trend. People have admitted their armpit fetish to be against their will. I mean, listen, I can never give someone shit for being into something weird, okay? Because like, oversharing and shit like that is like my whole personality, for right, wrong, or worse, right? Okay, I don't want to look at his armpit anymore. Now we're getting, well, I don't know. I feel like I'm having a hard time seeing like the different shadows between his armpit. Let me see. Like, I feel like there's something missing here, but I'm not sure. Maybe it needs to be a lighter shadow, like over here. You know what I mean? That's what I'm gonna do when I want to start pointing at things. I'm just gonna start lassoing things. Are you using a specific brush set? Hi Zay, welcome. No, I'm not using like a specific brush set in terms of like, you can see the name on the top. In terms of like one that I've like downloaded. Hi Rezzy, welcome. Basically, I feel like maybe a lot of beginner artists do this, but when I first started getting into drawing, I just downloaded a bunch of different shit. Like, all kinds of different shit. Like, you can see, there's so much going on here in terms of, like, things I've downloaded. Because all of these are different little brush sets and shit, too, right? And I think part of it was just me, like, experimenting with stuff. But I also feel like, you know how I've talked about with Skyrim mods, how, like, I impulse buy Skyrim mods in the sense of, like, I'm not actually buying them, but I just like clicking things and I like downloading things and hoarding them, right? I feel like I do that with brushes, low-key. And I had so many that I got really overwhelmed, so I just made this folder that is just titled Me Likey. And it's just brushes I use a whole lot. So right now we're using kind of just this like airbrushy type brush. I don't know why there's two of them, to be honest. Like, I accidentally duplicated it. I don't remember if I made changes to this, but that's okay. I think, I'm trying to think about like where, I guess with this, maybe there needs to be an even darker shadow right here. Like, if you think about, yeah, maybe that'll make it look better. Let's take this inner armpit and make it a little bit darker, like right here. Yeah, I should also probably set this to alpha lock, but we're already in deep. That's okay. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like, so like here's the arm. Like I'm trying to think of like the pussy of his armpit, right? So like, is there a word for that? So like, but like here, right? Like, I feel like maybe I should just keep the reference like as a thing I can fiddle with. Hold up. Maybe we just keep it on like this, right? I feel like here, like you can see the shadows darker here, like this. The armussy, yeah. Like that's gonna be darker than like over here. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm thinking. So let's put that away. Go back to the shadows. But that's what I do, is I really just like, and I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I'm still like very beginner. I feel like I'm still very much trying to figure out what my art style is. Actually, let's do this. And I wanna, can I put this above this? There we go. I feel like that's part of it, is I'm still trying to figure out kind of what my art style is. It's very inconsistent right now. Like, I'll show you some of the other stuff I've drawn. Like, actually, I need to be really careful, because I know somewhere in here there is NSFW art that's not even, like this one is, like, kind of like, oh, okay, whatever. Like, it's horny, but it's, like, you don't see, like, dick and balls, right? But, like, I need to be careful, because I know there's art down here of him just, like, giving a sloppy in a public bathroom. But, like, I don't know. I had a point with this. But, yeah, I need to, and I guess it's one of those things where it's, like, I need to, oh, that's what I was thinking. I need to figure out if I'm going to give him armpit hair or not. I think I should. But I feel like right now it's just one of those things where it's, like, the least of my worries. But I want to get better at art, and I want to get better at drawing women. I don't draw women a whole lot. Ever since I started, I used to when I first started. Oh, thank you. I work really hard with anatomy. It takes me a lot of time, and I still rely on references a whole lot, I think. But I want it to be like semi-realistic, I guess, would be the goal. You know what? Let's just make this a clipping mask and make everyone's day easier. TOS not allowing us to see culture. Okay, can I be so real? It's like, oh, thank you so much for the following. I guess I can keep grubas. But I feel like it's one of those things where, like, I don't know. It's not that I dislike drawing women. I think it's just because my current writing project is an MM romance, so I want to draw them. And when I was working on my FF project, which was, you know, Vanya and Freya and her failed polycule, I was drawing more women, but I'm just gonna be painfully real. I'm really bad at drawing titties, which, like, is probably a weird thing. Like, you probably, like, those of you who know me really well would probably be like, what? Evie bad at drawing titties? Because, like, you know I love titties, right? So it's like, I don't know. Oh, that's an eraser. So I think it's just one of those things where I probably just need to practice it more. I need to brute force myself to do it. And it's not even one of those things where I, like, dislike it. It's just one of those things where it's like, I dislike it in the sense that I see it and I'm like, ugh, this looks awful. And then I'm like, oh no. But yeah, this is like, again, I don't know if this is how you're supposed to art. Because I just put lines down and then I just fucking blend the shit out of them. That's all I do. Although I feel like this should be, I feel like having this be a harsh line is probably good. I don't know if it needs to be that harsh though. Like maybe bring it up to like here. I don't know if this should be connected though. Like see how it's like, like it should be a little lighter, but not, like you can kind of see how the shadows like change, right? So like, here, let me do this. Like here it's like darkest shadow. Wait, where's my, oh fuck, on the wrong layer. Here's my pointing at stuff layer, right? So like darkest shadow is here, right? Let me do this because I'm done pointing at stuff. I feel like also part of this is me just like working out in my head how to do this. And it's like one of those things where like if you talk it through it'll be easier. Like darkest shadow is here and it's kind of like this shape, but it gets slowly, like you can see still like some gaps in it, right? So if we go back here, oh, shadow layer, there we go. I think we just need to maybe make it like, maybe we blend it like this. Like we put those little like rectangular divots in. I don't know if that makes any fucking sense, but like here. Because I kind of put them on my sketch, right? But maybe just a little bit. Like a little bit lighter, but not a ton. And I still want that clear line there, so maybe we just actually, like, erase, like, a tiny bit, like... Does opacity mean nothing? Oh. I guess it fucking doesn't. Let's do... This is my erase. That makes sense. Okay. But let's, like, erase just, like, a little bit, like, here. And then we can just do this. And then it kind of is like a highlight, except not at all. Right? Well, it's not a highlight, it's just not as dark there as it is other places. Right? So, let me see. I'm gonna do this and, like, maybe flare this out a little bit. I don't know. I still want... I'm probably gonna go, like, do this and redo that, like, harsher type line, I think. Like, blend it within itself, if that makes sense. So, like, here. Here. I hate that, actually. I really hate that. Maybe I'm overthinking the armpit. We started talking about armpit fetishes, and now I'm like, well, I gotta make the armpit good. I gotta appeal to the armpit fetish. Wait, what's the word for someone... Did I ever tell you guys about the guy in my high school who got bullied for liking feet? This was in, like, I was in high school in, like, I think I graduated high school in, like, 2017, right? So this was, like, forever ago. But I remember there was a guy in my high school. Yeah, I think we'll just make these, like, a little bit more vague in terms of the light. There was a guy in my high school, and everyone, like, everyone hated him. It was one of those people where, like, everyone had a reason to hate him. Like, if you didn't like him, like everyone didn't like him, but for different reasons, right? So, like, I didn't like him because he ended up, like, dating a 12-year-old, and that's a big no-no, obviously. Although this was after I graduated. I didn't like him because I thought he was creepy, so I guess, like, we didn't know at the time, but I knew. Okay, I knew. I always thought he was a creep. But the reason other people in my school didn't like him, like it's one of those things where it's like, oh, I'm so glad this, like, have you seen this piece where it's like, I'm so glad this, I have a valid reason for hating this person. I feel like that's how a lot of people in my school were, because at one point, they literally, like, made fun of him for eating ass. Like, first of all, how does that rumor spread? Like, I need to know, like, did he tell people he was eating ass? Is that how this started? Or did he just, like, I don't know, you know? I kind of want to work on his chest now. The armpit is stressing me out. Let's go back to his titties. I think actually maybe it might be better to think about the highlights here. Let's see. I still don't know if I like the one on his titty right here. Like, this one. I still don't know if I like... Oh, fuck. I still don't know if I like that. But yeah, everyone had, like, a reason for hating him. But he got bullied for eating ass. And I do, like, feel like I have to ask the question of, like, how did we learn that? Like, who did you share that with, right? He also, like, he also apparently had a really skinny dick, and this was before the, like, it's your boy, skinny penis, like, that meme, right? Because if it was after that, maybe he could have, like, embraced it or something, but it was before that time, right? And so, this is awful, but every time people saw him in public, right, like, if they were at the mall or whatever, they would hold their pinky out at him. And I remember at one point someone, like, straight up was like did it while he was, like, with his parents at the mall, and I'm just like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? Like, they would just, like, be like, pinky out, like this SpongeBob bit, right? Pinky out, and, like, because he had his skinny dick, you know? But, yeah, that's my high school story of the day. Oh my god. Yeah, because I see, like, these shadows are way easier to hear. Or, wait, hear? Who hears shadows? I mean, I'm sure there's someone who does, but not me. But yeah, I think... I'm wondering if this is too dark. Maybe, Because I know there's definitely something going on there. I feel like it needs to be like, maybe like more closer to like here in terms of color. So if like here's like the center of his titty, right? Like here, like I'm comparing it to the reference, right? I'm wondering if me doing this all the time is making anyone motion sick, by the way. But like if the center of his titty's there, then this needs to go, like I'm thinking, yeah, maybe like that. And it does go like right under and then cut away. Like I'm just thinking about like the relative shape of the shadow. And then this one, it kind of stays there and then it goes out a little bit bigger here. And then like a little bit bigger here. Right? I think that works. Yeah. But yeah, they literally like called him like Ass Eater last name. Like, not like literally last name, but like... but like his actual last name, just Ass Eater last name, and we'd see him, they'd be like, oh my god, Ass Eater last name. But he like took it in stride, you know. I mean, still fuck him because he ended up being a creep, but you know, I think about that sometimes. I really do. I think, yeah, it gets a little darker over here, so this should be where like the big dark shadow is, like here. And I kind of already did it going down. Yeah, something like that. Like it starts really dark and then it gets like a little less dramatic. And then it kind of turns out a little bit. I don't know. Like I feel like here it's okay, but like I feel like here the line should be a little bit more. Yeah, kind of like that. There we go. Okay. So let's bring this out a little bit, and then we'll probably color within that a bit more too. Like it's going out and up, so this one also out and up, and then it's not going to be as intense as the other one, I think. Yeah. Over here too. I think I missed one. Like, oh wait, no, whoopsie. Maybe it is. Oh, fuck. Maybe it is too dark over here, and maybe we bring this up and flare it out more like this way. I don't know. That feels like it's a little bit better, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I think it needs to be more like feathery. I don't know if that makes sense. I think what would really help me with anatomy is I actually learned what muscles are. In the sense that like like not on like a literal level, but on like a like I feel like I need to study muscles a little bit more. So I can be like, oh, this is supposed to go here. Like, you know how like you know how like when they have you like, I don't know how to describe this, but like when you're in like school, they have you like go over like all the muscle groups and stuff. Like I feel like, or like when you first start drawing and you have to learn like proportions of like head and shit like that. I feel like I need to do that low key. Yeah, I think just flare this out a little bit. I have the harsher line there, and that kind of, well, this should needs to connect down to this thingy, like here. Like this needs to go whoop, like that, right? So I think we just push this line down. Can I just push that? Like, meow. Kind of like that. Yeah, I love listening to Nintendo music when I draw. I feel like I'm also like, Nintendo's like comically evil, but usually, from my experience, usually they're pretty good about letting you use like their music and stuff. Okay, that looks a little better. Maybe like a little bit more shadow here. The real test, I feel like, is if I take away the reference and I take away this, how defined does it look? And I know it looks kind of like weird on its own without the sketch overlaying it, but I think it's okay. I feel like maybe we can blend this a little bit more. Like here, maybe? I don't know if that did anything. There we go. Okay. Let me look back at the reference. I think his chest does look better. I think we need some more highlights though. So let's go back to the highlight layer. So we got the big titty shadow. We talked about that. I think maybe if I lower the opacity like a ton and put like a highlight that's actually a shadow like here. Yeah, I think that'll give me what I want, sort of. Because the first time I did it, it felt way too intense, if that makes sense. Whereas here it's like not as much. And it feels like a shadow of the highlight. Shadow the Hedgehog. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Yeah, maybe flare this out just a... Here we go. Maybe we make this a bit bigger, like here. I kind of want to extend this a little bit. So he looks a little more... Not like... He's not meant to, like... Because he's not... Ooh! That's a lot darker than I wanted it to be. This one. There we go. Because he's not meant to be, like, a total twink, right? He's meant to be, like... So, I'm gonna start yapping now. As if that isn't what I've been doing already, by the way. But this is my OC Callan. He is the main character of the book that I am writing. He is, you know, a bit of a diva, bit of a drama queen. He's in the mafia. He has killed before. He will kill again. Just girly things. But he's very kind of like... He's a bit of a slut. He's got a lot going on, but I love him for that, you know? I'm trying to think the under titty. I feel like is it gonna be like this? Or is it gonna be like... Yeah, I think we're gonna do like this sort of. Yeah, there we go. But he's a bit of a whore. And his whole bit is he is the nephew of a very powerful crime boss. And he has been in crime his entire life. And his family sells magic drugs. So, like, think about, like, Walter White meth. And, like, kick that shit up to 11, right? That is basically the kind of shit his family deals in. It's basically, like, crack for mages, right? And it's meant to make your spells powerful and get you super, super high. But his family kind of has a little bit of a monopoly on it, right? And I don't know, I did a lot of, when I first started writing, I did a lot of research on, like, the Italian mafia, right, and the differences between the Italian versus the American mob, right, and of course the American mob, like, you know, kind of spun off of the Italian one, right, but, yeah, let's maybe bring some shadows over here. But, one of the things I found out that I actually didn't know before, that I thought was really interesting, is the Italian mafia was a lot of disgraced, like, Italian nobility, right? So I got the idea essentially to put that in my world, that his family is basically, like, that was something very recent that happened, is, you know, his family is from a disgraced noble house. And when they were, you know, kind of taken over, when people, you know, rebelled against the nobility, because that's, you know, people always do that. His family then turned to crime. And they were already doing crime, if we're being 100% for real. But now they're, like, doing more of it. Now that's, like, not a side thing. It's their only thing. It's some of the... See how... I'm noticing this now. See how the base layer is, like... It's, like, faded there. I think that's fucking with me. Hold up. Where's my big chunky brush? Meow. Yeah, that's not... Okay, hold on. Meow. Clear that up. Oh, fuck. Not over the highlight, though. Fuck. I need that. Okay. That should be a little bit better. Cool. I was wondering why it looked really weird. But yeah, I don't want to say too much, because I don't want to just be like, hello, here's the plot of my book. I'm going to info dump the entire plot of my book to you, because that feels kind of counterproductive. As someone trying to be an author. But that is his bit, and he falls in love with a scientist who studies blood magic, who is hoping that his research efforts will bring about the end of Alan's family's drug empire. So it's kind of an enemies to lovers, except not at all. Really, it's like friends with benefits to lovers, because, like, okay, I told you guys last stream about my mom reading my book. And the thing with my book is there's some very, there's a lot of gay sex in it, right? Because as I mentioned, this guy's a little bit of a whore. What do you do? Should I shade the bush? Because it's cut off here, right? Simply because I didn't feel like drawing the other hand, and I just didn't want to, right? I extended it a little bit, but not like a lot. And I'm like, no, well, maybe just like something like right there. Yeah! Bush, 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 bush. Can't take me fucking anywhere. Oh, yeah, but anyway. Hi, Laura, welcome in. But that was the bit, right? Is there's a, it's a pretty, it's an adult novel. It's not like just erotica, right? But there's certainly a lot of, like, you know, yeehaw times in that. And my mom read it, and I told you guys last time that I tried to give my mom, like, I joked with my mom about giving her, like, a censored copy of the book. Or, no, I think I talked about this on Friday, or my test stream. But I joked with my mom that I would give her, like, a, a censored version of the book, essentially, right? Without all the smut in it and whatnot. And my mom got very, very offended by that idea. My mom was like, no, I want to read it the way it was meant to be written, or the way it was meant to be read. And I was like, okay. So, of course, I give her the version with all the smut. And my sister's read it, too. And my sister's kind of like a new gen Fujoshi, low-key. Like, she's like, not like... I wonder if there's a word for this. Like, she's not like an anime Fujoshi, but she's like a Western Fujoshi, right? Like the heated rivalry, like Heartstopper type Fujo, right? Like, not like the Junjo Romantica, like 2005 Fujo. But she read it, because I figured, I'm like, I should know, you know, how it reads with that market. Because it is, like, a lot of fantasy, right? And I didn't want it to be so fantasy that it would be a distraction, you know? I think we need maybe, like, a little bit of highlight here. I think we can honestly start... Also, we need to fill this in, low-key. But I had her read it, and she read it. My parents and her went on a trip to, Hawaii. Trust, it's a funny. That's how you know it's gonna be good, when a message starts with, I am not a bot and trust it's a funny. Don't ask me for my credit card number, because I don't know what it is. Let me see. There's so much more to the bit. Oh, Jesus Christ. How often do you feed your mods, and how clean is the mod basement? You know, are you trying to get my mods to unionize? Is that what this is? Is that what this is? You know, my mods are great. They're well fed. well kept. I think my mods are very happy, and if they feel otherwise, they're more than happy to tell me. But you know, all right. I think I'm done with this chest for now. I'm not sure I want to do anything more with it. I would not reveal my intentions. Do you have a mod failure? I don't know, actually. I do have, so like, jokes aside, I do have Jingle and Aqua. They were viewers for me that kind of became mods. But I don't consider myself a really big, like, I'm a small streamer, so I guess it's one of those things where when I came back to streaming, I was kind of like, do I need mods? Nah, I'm sure it's fine, you know? So I actually don't know. You'll be answering on their behalf? Okay, I will speak for my mods. I'm sure they would have no qualms about that whatsoever. Yeah, I think we'll do, like, a little bit more here to define his chest a bit more. Let's see what it looks like without the sketch. I think that looks better. Like, am I still happy with it? No, but I think it's better. I'm wondering, let's see, maybe about, let's go back to the arm, I think. I think the chest is good right now, right? I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe fix that later, but for now I think it's fine. We'll start fixing the arms there, right? How moldy is the mod basement? What if it's not a mod basement? What if it's a mod shed? Oh god. I shouldn't joke about that. I really shouldn't. But like, okay. Okay, let me think. Hold on. We can go back to talking about my mods until once I figure out his arms. Okay. Yeah, I felt like it was too dramatic at first. Same thing here. I feel like this shadow is a bit too dramatic. Maybe we lighten it up like over here. I'm needing an answer. You know, I'm gonna say on like a 1 out of 10, let's put it at a solid 4.5. Okay. I do my best, but nobody's perfect. As a wise woman named Hannah Montana once said, nobody's perfect. I feel like this should be blended, low-key. Like, I feel like this can taper out. I don't think it needs to be separated. This is what I mean by I say, I'm like, I should probably learn how muscles work and like how they are. This is what I mean by that. Because before it felt like too much there, you know? Some foliage for oxygen. Yes, yes, you see the vision. Maybe I put a little bit darker here. I don't know. Yeah, but like I said, this is my first time doing a drawing stream. I don't know if I'm gonna do this again. So enjoy it while we have it. I mean, I probably will, because there's other stuff I want to draw. Like, I'd like to draw some new emotes, and I think that could be fun. But I feel like I should tag the stream as ADHD, because my ADHD is really showing, and I'm so sweaty right now. Again, I don't know why. I'm just drawing. Like, it's not that serious. It's really not. But I'm just like, like, I'm very open about the fact that I don't know what the hell I'm doing. You know, we should probably shade. I should probably shade his hair a little bit more too. I need to figure out what I'm doing with that. Oh, that's why I wanted to show you my thing. Hold up. So let me do this. Yeah, because okay. I was kind of shading it reference based off like the statue right here, right? But his hair is usually like very fluffy, like this one. So like I don't know. Usually I use like the hair brushes to do that. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know. I remember seeing you start out in art. Oh yeah, I think I did do an art stream when I like very first started streaming. It was very kind of ironic. Very MS Paint core. But I have been kind of trying to take it seriously. Not like so seriously that like, I don't know, I had someone ask me if I would ever consider like drawing like my own live 2D model or like my book cover, and like I don't think I'd ever do that. Because like, I don't know, I think there's some things where it's just like, I'm the type of person where I usually end up taking like everything super seriously low-key, and I need some things to like not take seriously. And like, I take art seriously in the sense that like, I want to get better at it, right? But like, I don't take it so seriously where it's like, I don't know, I feel like there needs to be like a little bit of shadow here, at least to differentiate like the strands of hair, like maybe just a little like like something like that, and then we just, you know what I mean, just something like that, you know, that's the technical term for it. For the whimsy. Yeah, maybe we can even put a little bit of a shadow here too, just like the end of it. That's right, this brush doesn't do opacity. Hold on. There we go. And like here. Not that much. Just, you know. I think that's one of the things I do that I need to stop doing, is instead of picking new colors, sometimes I'll just change the opacity of things. And that's probably not something I should do. I should probably actually learn how color theory works, but I'm lazy. And I don't want to. I feel like I had something else to tell you guys, by the way. Like a funny story or something, but I can't remember what it was. But it's been a little bit of a crazy week. I mean, I don't know. There was a lot of stuff that happened. In fact, a week before like literally the day before I started streaming again. I'm not gonna go too into detail about this, but my in-person writing group kind of exploded. And it ended up working out because it was just one person being kind of a mess, and everyone collectively was like, wow, we're all too old for this. I'm not even like, everyone was kind of like, girl, what the fuck are you doing? But it was very like, I don't know, I guess, especially thinking about like streaming and stuff, you know, coming back to it, because I took a hiatus for like 2 years. And I was thinking about this the other day of like, I was 20, I think I had just, no, it was August of 2020. I hadn't even turned 21 yet when I first started streaming, right? You know, when I first started getting into like VTuber stuff, you know, and now I'm like, there we go, that's kind of what I wanted. Now I'm like 26, you know, and I'm still doing it. And I don't say that as like, I'm still doing it, I'm still being a fucking anime girl on the internet, but it's just like one of those things where it's like, I don't know, I feel like I'm like, it's kind of weird to think about how in a way I've kind of matured, not through streaming, right, but as I've been streaming, you know? I kind of want to start seeing what this looks like with like actual colors on it, to be honest. So that was the idea. Is this whole bit was like, okay, let's do it grayscale first, right? And then we'll do it like normally, right? Like it's supposed to be like the grayscale supposed to like help with the coloring, right? So I think what I'm gonna do, because I already did like the skin, and I'm trying to figure out. I had a friend like tell me like what to mess with, and I'm wondering like, let's flipping mask maybe? I don't know. Like it's one of these things like, damn, I made it this far. Now what do I do? So, because that's the problem of like, I think having these highlights on this fucked me up so bad. So I think, well, I guess what I could do, hold on, with the base color, I guess I could like do this maybe, and this would work out. Like if I just, that looks so cursed on its own. But that was my thought though, is like, because that's what you're supposed to do, is it's supposed to be like, well, hold on. Like if I put this like here, maybe, where's the thingy that's like modes? Because it's supposed to be you just like mess with it and the opacity, like there we go. Like it's kind of like, I don't know. New layer and then clipping mask over it. Yeah, I fucked up like inherently because I did some of the highlights on the base layer, but they looked really good and I didn't want to go back. Where's this line coming from? Where the fuck is that? You see that like little line? This one. Okay, here we go. It's not important, but it was really bothering me. I feel like something like this maybe? I don't know. Hello! Welcome! We're drawing shirtless men today. Hi, Al. Welcome in. But yeah, I'm not sure. And I know you're supposed to be like really kind of like not doing a whole lot with the opacity, but I don't know. What do we think? Well, here for people for D&D, but hi. Oh, you're Crowns! Hi, Crowns! I remember you. Have fun at D&D, but I'm glad to see you. Hi, I do remember you. How could I forget? Yeah, I think that looks... I'm actually pretty happy with this. I feel like maybe I could do more detail with the hand, but I kind of just like... I kind of don't want to right now. Like, I kind of just want to see what happens. Let's go back and maybe start doing the base for the hair and see what that looks like. See what happens. Your man is very handsome and nipply. Thank you. I love him. He's my little skunkly. He kills people, but that's fine. No one's perfect. Let me make sure I'm on the right layer before I do this. I'm just gonna like kind of be vague about it. I still need to color the details of like his eyes and lips and stuff like that. I figure even if I end up going and doing more stuff with the grayscale, I feel like this at least shows me where I'm at. You know what I mean? And I don't know what I'm gonna do for the background, or even if it'll be if there's gonna be a background. I don't like drawing backgrounds. I need to learn how to draw them, because I feel like from a world building perspective, like from someone who writes, you know, and the whole reason I started like learning how to draw was because I wanted to, you know, draw my own characters and shit like that. I feel like I need to learn how to draw backgrounds. Like if I could figure out how to draw backgrounds, I would be unstoppable, but I really don't want to. I don't know, but I'm thinking maybe like he's like inside a bedroom or something. Like he's giving very like post-sex vibes, you know what I mean? Like bro just like railed or got railed, you know, something like that. I don't know. I'm liking the way the hair looks with the shadows. I feel like it'd still be more detailed, like in terms of like strand by strand, but I'm liking the way this is looking with the grayscale. I need to clean some of this up, but yeah. But yeah, he's very scrunkly. I have, I'm gonna, wait, let me test this, because I don't know if this works. Let's see if this works. Yay! Okay, if you'd like to see some of my writing snippets with him, they are there. I've thought about doing a stream where I read some of it, but also like because I'm in this draft revision phase, I feel like it'd be like, here's all this stuff I'm gonna read to you, and now I'm gonna change it. I mean, like the story's still the same, but it's like one of those things where it's like, I don't know. I let beta readers and stuff read it, and I post snippets of it on Blue Sky all the time, right? Usually like daily, right? But I don't know. But he's basically kind of a hot mess in the mafia, bisexual, non-binary. Bro can't make up his mind about anything, just like me, for real, for real. And he has a thing. Wait, no, there is. Hold on. There's one line I will show you. Where is it? Hold on, I'll find it. Trying to see how I can. Hold on, I'll show you one. I will show you one. Where is it? Oh, Laura, thank you so much for the follow. Dev-editing myself and it's hell. Yeah, I'm just like, I don't know. It's one of those things. I've gotten a lot better with it, but I am kind of like, it's very overwhelming. You know what I mean? Right? Like, it's very like, I don't know. Here, I will show you. He's just like me, for real, for real. He's just like me, for real, for real. That is what you get today. Although I think on my Blue Sky there's just straight up smut if you want to read it. He's bisexual. He loves hot older women and bears. And that is what he gets, you know, which he doesn't deserve, but there we go. Let me see. I think I need to mess with this actually, because I don't think, yeah. I'm sure there's an easier way to do this, by the way. I'm just a little, I don't know. But let me, yeah, make sure this is the right layer. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm sure there's a better way to color all this, but I don't know how. I've been thinking about trying like Clip Studio Paint. One of my artist friends was telling me about. I've had a few artist friends tell me about switching to Clip Studio, and like when I first started, you know, for those of you who don't know, I do my own. Oh, promo time! Hold up, promo time! Promo time! More promo time! More promo time! Did I spell it right? There we go. I do a lot of singing and I do my own like covers and stuff. I'm a music teacher, is my main job. I teach other VTubers how to sing. I run the Off Choir at Off Choir Expo. But you know, with that, when I first started getting into like the audio engineering side of things, it was like one of those things where like when I moved from like Audacity to like Reaper, like the big boy, kind of, you know, the big boy kind of software, right? It was really overwhelming in the sense that it felt like I had like so many options. I didn't know what to do with them. And that's kind of how I feel when I open up Clip Studio Paint, is it feels like it's like too much, you know? Like I don't know what I'm doing. What color should his nipples be? What color are nipples? No. I mean, I feel like maybe like, is the thing for like, no, I'm not gonna be that obnoxious. I'll be a little obnoxious. Is the thing for like, you know how they, you know how they say that like guys, like they say that like, what do they say? Like something about the color. Oh, right. I remember now. The color of a guy's dick, like the tip of his dick, is the same as the color as his lips. Is that? I feel like there's a nipple version of that. But maybe there's not. Maybe I'm hallucinating. I don't know. Are these too red? Like if I do this, maybe? I feel like that's too red. Make it like, do like that. Yeah, I think that's a good nipple. That's a good nipple. We'll go more in depth with the nipples later. We have a layer just for the nipples. I wouldn't want it any other way. I'll be honest, I'm not opposed to drawing more NSFW stuff. I like drawing NSFW stuff because I'm a whore. But, I feel like it's one of those things where low-key, the hardest things to draw for me, NSFW-wise, are, like, dicks. Which, like, as someone who's writing an MM romance right now, I really need to, like, sort that out. really need to figure that out. I do want to draw more Yuri though too, because I do want to go back to my. So for those of you who don't know, I stream Skyrim on here a lot, and because I love Skyrim, and I love making my. Okay, here's what I need to do. I'm seeing my model like die, so I'm gonna do this. Hi, Braun, welcome. This is where we're at. We just added his nipples. Well, welcome in, gamer. But I play a lot of Skyrim with my OCs, and I started writing my first like big novel project with those characters. And I went to my writing mentor with it, and she's like, "I'm gonna be real with you, Chief. This is really ambitious for a first project. I don't know if this is a good idea." And I was like, "Oh man." And she's like, "You got any other ideas?" And I was like, "Yeah. I got this elf mafia yaoi thing I've been workshopping." And she was like, "Well, why don't you write that?" And I was like, "Okay." And it felt like that factory meme of like, damn, we doing yaoi now. Is this the wrong? No, okay, we're just gonna call this face base, the face base layer. So I was like, damn, I guess we doing yaoi now. And I hadn't really been reading a whole lot of like stuff for a while, so it got me back onto that. Honestly, I still haven't read the stuff that's like super popular right now, and I don't really have a desire to be honest. Like, I probably should, just like marketing wise and whatnot, but like, I don't know. My sister keeps telling me to watch Heated Rivalry. I don't care about hockey. Like, I should, like, everyone, like you need to read what's popular in your genre, right? But I'm like, I don't care about hockey. I should probably watch it. But I read, what did I read recently? There was this one romance I read that was really cute. Oh god, what was it called? I posted about it. Where's my story graph? I also read some Vampire Yuri that I finished earlier that was really good. Oh, okay, Looking for Group by Alexis Hall. That was really good. It was very cute. Romance about two guys that meet playing totally not World of Warcraft. But if you have played WoW, there's a lot of references in there. It's a very nice homage to the game. Let me see, because I feel like it's the right thing to do as an author to link the books I'm talking about. But then I also read recently, definitely this one I'm gonna, it was a novella. It was like The Corruption of Saint Aqyn. And like, I love me some vampire church, like, cleric Yuri. That shit was good. It was a very nice, like, short and sweet novella. But that was very good. I really liked it a lot. So, but yeah, I'd like to go back to my really messy epic fantasy that's like before all of this, because it's all in the same world, right? It's all the same world building. Like this, the yaoi just takes place like 300 years after the Yuri, and I call it Yuri, but there's like several couples going on there of all different varieties, which is fun. Oh right, his eyeballs. I'm gonna do a separate layer for the eyes just in case. Let's go like here, and then let me see. I feel like there was something else I was gonna tell you. But yeah, I've read a lot of. Right now, I'm reading 2 books right now, I think. Okay, can I say something? Okay. So right now, well, actually, I just started the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin, or Jemisin. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I just started that recently, and I'm liking it a lot. But I am reading the new Chuck Tingle book, Fabulous Bodies. It's my first foray in the Tingleverse, and I haven't finished it yet, and I want to, but it's getting, like, you ever, like, buy a book and you're like, I really want to like this. I really, really, really want to like this. That's kind of where I'm at with Fabulous Bodies. I'm liking it so far, but it feels like it's getting, like, a little repetitive at some points, to be honest. So, I'm probably gonna finish it still, because, like, I don't know about y'all. It takes a lot for me to, like, straight up put a book down and not finish it, right? And I might do that with this one. I haven't decided it. I'm gonna try to push through because I really want to like it, but it just gets kind of repetitive, you know, when I only have so much free time and there's so much other stuff I want to read. Like my TBR list is like massive right now. There was also, okay, this book I'm purposely gonna be vague about because I know it's a small author and I don't want to like talk shit in the sense of like, you know, but like in the terms of like books that I read where it's like I really wanted to like them, there was this book I found and it was like an alt history Omegaverse thing, And like people talk a lot of like smack on the Omegaverse, some of it rightfully so. But I really wanted this was like an alt history Omegaverse thing with a period of history I was very fascinated in. But there were like, I got so angry. Like, you ever read a book and you just get like viscerally angry because it's like, this could be so good. This could be so good. And then it's not. That's how I felt, right? And again, I'm not going to talk too much about it because this was this person's first book. And like, people are probably going to read my book and be like, damn, that's crazy. And say the same shit, right? But it was just like, I don't know. I could not do 6 POV changes in the first chapter. 6 POV changes in the first chapter was too much. And I really want to like it, but it's really hard. It's really hard to read right now. But you can't. Okay. Because again, I don't want to be mean. And like, you can see my writing on Blue Sky. Hi, tacos, welcome in. But like, you can see my writing on Blue Sky, right? I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, okay? It's my first draft, right? Like, there's grammar issues and whatnot. But the first chapter of this book had, and maybe this is just, I don't know, I don't like romance where it's like, one of the characters is already in an established relationship. And like, maybe I'm stupid because the back of the book said affair, right? And I interpreted that to mean like a forbidden lovers type situation, right? But like, I just don't like cheating. It makes me feel icky. It makes me uncomfortable, you know? And it had 6 POV changes in the first chapter, and it was just, I want to like it so bad. I want to like it so bad. Alt history Omegaverse has so much fucking potential. But it makes my eye twitch, man. So I'm probably gonna try to keep reading it because I do want to. I want to like it. Maybe it gets better. But it's like for the first chapter, and it's 6 POV changes, but it's still between the same 2 characters, and it's one of those, like, sometimes you just read a book and you're like, this would have benefited from another pass. Like it was kind of like that, you know? How are we feeling? I don't know, maybe I'll go back to, I don't think that's how lips work. Hold up. I mean, I think this is fine for now. Like, that was my thing, is I just wanted to, like, kind of see how it looked. But that's, like, yeah, I don't know. I don't like, and it takes a lot for me to not like a book, right? Like, there was a book I read, this book I will talk smack about because it was the Barnes & Noble pick, and the lady at Barnes & Noble, okay, best book I read this year, best fucking book I read this year was, let me find it, and I'll send this one to you guys too. Best fucking book I read this year was Don't Let the Forest In by C.G. Drews. Oh my god. That shit, if you fuck with unreliable narrators and codependency, oh my god. This is the book for you. It's so peak, okay? It was my best book of this year so far, right? But I checked this out at the Barnes & Noble. And first of all, the lady at Barnes & Noble clocked me. She looks at me, and she looks at the book, and then she looks at me. Like, she does a little, like, just one of those, right? She looks at me, and she goes, do you like Yuri? And I was like, why, yes, I do. And she was like, I think you'll really like this book. And she hands me this book. It's called Every Exquisite Thing. All right. I really was like, damn. It was called Every Exquisite Thing, okay, by Laura Stephen, right? And it was sold to me as a sapphic retelling of The Picture of Dorian Gray. I don't know. Okay. It was one of those things where it's like, I know that not all MCs have to be likable, right? Some MCs can be just downright fucking awful. Like, I will hype up another book to you. I'm gonna hype up my friend Angie's book, The Devouring. In that book, both of them fucking suck. Both of them are criminals and assholes and do horrible things. But they're fun, they're interesting, and their actions, like, make sense. You know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna have unlikable characters, they have to make sense, right? That's my take, right? Whereas, sorry, just the look of the grayscale and then his nipples just being out is really funny to me. Okay, let's put his nipples away. Beep. Okay. But, like, that's the thing, is, like, she does it really, really well. Love you, girl. Heart emoji. And again, I'm biased because she's my friend, but, like, you know. But every Exquisite Thing, it was, like, one of those things where it's, like, they're all in, like, okay, I'm not British, right? This may shock you, but I'm not British, right? And the setting was, like, and so the Shoes is British, I'm pretty sure, so you can correct me on this. But the setting was, like, a college in England, right? Do they have co-ed dorms in British colleges? Like, is that, like, a common thing? Like, it is a theater school, so maybe that's why. But, like, co-ed dorms, how common are those in British dorms? Because low-key, right, it was, like, I don't, like, little things, it's so easy for little things to take me out of a story, right? Like, she's a girl at a very prestigious acting school, right? I didn't go to university. Damn. Went to a very prestigious acting school, right? And she's talking about her roommates, and one of the roommates is a guy, and, like, that's fine, you know? But it did kind of, like, but take me out of the story for a little bit, because I was like, wait, what? Is this, like, a co-ed dorm or whatever? Like just little details like that sometimes fuck me up, okay? But anyway, okay, the plot is, like, she's in, how do I describe this? Because it's not a one-to-one to Dorian Gray, right? Not at all, right? I'm also, like, looking at my monitor, because low-key, the way the colors look on my monitor is different than the way the colors look on my other thing. Let me see. I want to, okay, this is fucking with me. The shadow that got stuck on the highlight layer. What if it just, like, or that got stuck on the base layer? There we go. We're just gonna do this. Something like that. Yeah. Something like that. And maybe that'll make it better. I don't know. We'll do this. There we go. That's a little bit better. But, and there was that. But she is basically an acting major. Her mom is, like, a really famous actress who didn't pay attention to her. Like, they're very upfront. Like, it's like, yeah, my mom didn't love me. She just, like, did coke the entire time I was a child. And it's like, oh, okay. But she auditions for the part of Lady Macbeth in, you know, Macbeth, right? And the other girl to audition is late, right? And, but that girl comes in late, and she thinks, like, the main character, like, thinks she, like, slayed the audition, right? But then this other girl comes in late, and she eats that audition the fuck up. And she's like, oh god, I'm cooked. I'm absolutely cooked. And of course, she is, right? She doesn't get cast, okay, we're back to the armpit. She doesn't get cast as Lady Macbeth. She's mad about it. And so she meets the other girl to, like, I don't even remember why she met up with her, but she's like, I'm gonna go talk to her. And it's like, okay, whatever. And she goes to talk to the girl, and she sees her in the parking lot sitting in a professor's car, and she's, like, making out with the professor. So, actually, this is something that this is stupid, right? This is my own opinion. Like, you ever have an opinion, and you're like, this is a me thing, and I know it's dumb, but, like, this is so stupid. No, I don't know. I guess it's one of those things where it's like, if I'm reading Yuri and it's been advertised as, like, neither of them are bisexual, and I say this as someone who's bisexual, whenever I see a character that's, like, one of the main characters in the Yuri, like, with a guy, it, like, takes me for a loop for a second. I'm like, wow, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with it, right? I'm bisexual, right? I kiss women and men, right? You know, but it's, like, one of those things where, like, if I'm not expecting it, I'm like, whoa. Oh, you know what I mean? I don't know. But that threw me for a loop. That it was like she's making out with her professor. And I think it's not just because the professor was a guy. I think it was the power imbalance thing. Like, I wasn't ready for that. But anyway, the main character, she fucking sees this. She takes a picture of it on her phone, and then the girl that's kissing the professor, who's like the love interest, by the way, for some fucking reason. But, like, she is, but she isn't. It's weird. She comes up to her and she's like, hey girl, I know you saw that, but if you could be a real one and delete that off your phone, I'd appreciate it. And the MC is just like, no, I'm not gonna do that. And the love interest is being incredibly reasonable, right? She's like, look, we do not need to be enemies. I want to be your friend. You know, we should work together, right? You know, this is not necessary. But the main character is like, no, fuck you. And she prints out the picture of the girl with the professor, and then she puts it on, like, the dean's, like, and then she blackmails the professor. She prints it out, puts it on his desk, and the girl is, like, forced to step down from the role so she can take it. And it's one of those things where I'm like, oh, hi, Artie. I'm talking about a book that pissed me off. But it's one of those things where it's like a character, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, and I don't know everything, okay? I can be really dumb sometimes. But if a character is going to do a shitty thing, I feel like it needs to make sense. In the sense of, like, I don't know, it just felt like a really catty, mean girl thing to do. And it's like, and it felt so nonsensical. And I get it's supposed to show she's, like, immature or whatever. And it was just like, I don't know, it just made me mad. But there was that. The ending didn't make any fucking sense. I'll be real with you on that one. You know, and I just was like, I was exhausted. Like, by the time I finished reading it, I was like, I need a cigarette. I don't even smoke. And I was like, I need a cigarette. Your assholery must make sense to the lore. Yeah, well, it's just one of those things where it's like, and maybe this is just, I don't know. I feel like it's one of those things where it's like, you don't need to be rooting for every main character, right? Like, not every main character is meant to be rooted for, right? But if she's just off the bat, is just kind of a dick. And I was like, damn, okay. That's crazy. Also, I don't know what's going on with his arm here, low-key. I feel like it needs more detail, but I don't know where to put it. Like, I'm looking back at it on my tablet, and I'm looking back at it over here, and I'm like, But, yeah, it made me so mad I was in a Discord call with someone. I was in a Discord call for writing group, and we were all gonna, like, sit and, like, co-work and write together. I was so mad that I, like, had to play Skyrim for half an hour to calm down. No, I have my tab, like, the wrist I still need to work on. That I'm not worried about. It's more so, like, this area right here. It all comes down to the armpit, you know? And I'm like, because you see, like, if we're doing our strat of, like, looking at the shadow here, right? Like, let me do my pen move. Here we go. Like, the shadow comes, like, here. And part of it is because there's, like, a lack of the light source coming here, like you'd see that cut. And I don't have that in my light source, I don't think I have that cut as dramatically. But it's like this, right? So maybe it should be a little lighter over here and darker over here, which is kind of what I started to do, and maybe I just did it poorly. I don't know. Let's go back over here. Yeah, let's make this, actually, full stop. Let's just do this and see what happens. Okay, and blend that out and see what happens. But yeah, thank you for coming to watch me draw. We might play some Skyrim later. We might not. Kind of depends on the vibes, low-key. Also to see if I don't fuck up my voice. I've been doing pretty good so far, but if I kept talking about that book, I absolutely would have fucked up my voice. But yeah, the Barnes & Noble lady lied to me. It was not, she was like, if you like that, you'll like this, and I did not like it. There's also one of those things too where, like, you ever, like, read a book that's a romance and you're just like, okay, I know that this person's supposed to be the love interest, but, like, why not get with this person? Because the fucking love interest it was, like, meant to be an enemies to lovers thing, but it never really felt like they became lovers. They were just kind of, like, bitches who hated each other and then fucked, which is, like, fine, you know, like, that's fine, but I felt lied to. That didn't feel like what was advertised to me, you know? Hi, Vader. It felt very much like, oh, okay. Like, because there was a really cute gamer girl that was really sweet and was really nice to her the entire time, and she didn't get with the gamer girl. And I was like, why? Why? It made me mad, but... And you know what? I'm sure there are some people that love the book. Not every book is for everyone, and that's okay, right? But... I don't know. Would you guys watch book reviews if I did them? Not like YouTube videos. It would probably be something like this where I'm just here and I'm yapping. Here and I'm yapping about books that I read and what I liked and what I didn't like about them. But I think I've only read... Oh! Your mom is a demon. Hey, my mom is a very nice lady, but thank you for the follow. You are now Gaslight Gatekeep Grobos. But yeah, I guess it's just one of those things where every book has a person. You know, not every book's gonna be for me, and that's fine. But I've only read 10 books this year. I wanted to have read more by now, to be honest. But let me know if it's something you'd be interested in. Oh, I know what's missing. I think I figured it out. There needs the Armusi. The Armusi. The Armusi. We never outlined the Armusi. Like right here. I think it's like right here. Yeah. Okay. Armusi. Armusi. You could put your dick in there. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't actually. I don't think I should speak. Like ever. I think I should be banned from talking actually. Like I feel like, yeah, here, and then maybe here, and it could be even a little darker. Yeah, arm ussy, arm ussy, arm ussy. Yay! What? Why is it not? Hold on. Blend this out real quick. I don't know, maybe I'm over rendering. Maybe it's just becoming too much, and that's why I'm getting fucked up about it. Clip it. Doing a reread of the Harry Dresden book series. Ooh, I've never read those actually. I need to add that to my list of Sophie noises. Does the clip button still work? I actually don't know. Hold up. Because I used to have a thing for it. Does it still work? Let's find out. I guess not. Oh no, it did work. Okay, and now Armusi can live on forever. Okay, let's go over here. But yeah, I don't know. I guess it's just one of those things where it's like, I don't like books with, I don't know. I don't like books where it's like a romance and then there's like cheating. Oh, I know what's fucking me up. I never turned the opacity back on. God damn it. Oh, it's fine. It's whatever. So I turn it back to that. Okay. Armusi. Armusi, go here. Yes. 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 And then maybe a little bit over there. Yeah. Okay. We can definitely render the other side of the arm like, yeah, Armusi. Okay, I'm feeling a little bit better about it. Like, yeah. It's still not exactly where I want it to be. Hi, Jaikon, welcome on. Yeah, NTR. Earthy. I do like books. I just don't like books where you're gonna tell me that you can't give me Omegaverse, historical Omegaverse yaoi, and then the first chapter, the guy is sleeping with a woman. Like, I don't know. Okay, I'm bisexual. I love women. I love men. I love both. But it just, I wasn't ready. Okay, I wasn't in the headset. I wasn't in the mindset for heterosexuality at the time. I felt jump scared. Okay. Like, I don't know. I don't know. And again, I'm really trying to be careful about how I word this because I don't want it to come across as I'm biphobic. I'm not. It's fine if you have bi characters, but if you advertise your book as something and then bam, does that make sense? Reminds me of the one 5-star review, and they're like, "How are you gonna give me a werewolf romance?" And she doesn't even fuck them on. Yeah. If it's a werewolf romance, you need to fuck the werewolf. I think what's even worse, actually, I don't know, monster fuckers rise up. I don't know, what's worse, that or when they include the werewolf fucking, but they're too cowardly to include the knot? Think about that. Think about that, okay? Where is this highlight? Oh, is this one of the highlights that, where is this highlight coming from? Do you see, like, his forehead? Where is that coming from? Not here. Not here. Oh, I guess it is mixed in with this one. Wait, no, it's not. Why is there a highlight on the shadow layer? Why did I do that? That was fucked up. Very naughty. Listen. It's just one of those things where, I don't know, like, I don't know, for my fellow writers in the chat, as we've talked about before, I have my secret Tumblr porn blog, which is really not that much of a secret. Like, am I gonna give it to you? No, but if you want to find it, it's not hard. But I don't know. There was I swear to God, there was a reason I brought that up, but now I can't. I lost my train of thought. I'm thinking about it. Oh yeah, I don't know. Like, I've had that. I think part of what helped me as a writer, low-key, with that is I've written for a lot of fetishes that I don't personally have. Like, I got a ovipositor request the other day, and I was like, all right, we'll give this a whirl, and it did really, really well, and I was kind of, like, shocked at, like, how well received it was. Because I was like, I don't know shit, like, I don't know, like, I'm never gonna be one to kink shame, but sometimes I feel like it's good practice, you know? Someone about IT credentials, and they were like, you understand, we're both in IT, you're a fox, we're both furries. Listen, I'm not in IT, but my husband is in game dev, and yeah. Yeah. I used to do paid smut comms, and one of my friends is a non-con and knife play, and I'm like, yeah, I used to get a lot of, like, you know, and there are some things I found out, like, I thought I'd be okay writing them, and then I was like, actually, I don't think I can handle this, and I think that's just part of, like, you know, being on the internet and taking requests when you write stuff, is learning your own boundaries, right? Like, I guess my thing is, like, I'm never gonna yuck someone's yum, right? I am, you know, a truther behind why AO3 was created. I mean, as long as it doesn't hurt nobody, who cares? You know, as long as it's not harmful, who cares? Although then again, people argue about what is and isn't harmful all the time. But I guess it's just one of those things where it's like, not everything is for everyone, and that is okay. Also, where did this highlight come from? No wonder his hair looks so fucking bright. Like, why is this here? Why is it on the shadow layer? I'm just gonna do that, and I think that looks better, maybe. I don't know. If you're not into something, how are you supposed to make good content for it? I guess it's just one of those things where sometimes I view writing smut as, like... I was talking to another friend about this. A friend of mine who is, they're a couple, both of them are women, and they're dating, or they're married, right? They're married women, you know, lesbians, right? But they both write a lot of MF stuff, right? For part of, like, their job, right? They do a lot of, like, ghostwriting. And for them, it's like, they were talking about how it's like, they view it as just kind of mathematical, you know? And I think that makes a lot of sense, honestly. I think that's how I view it too, where it's like, okay, does this scene hit these marks? You know, does this scene accomplish X, Y, and Z, right? So, like, one of the things that, I won't kink shame, but I'll kink question. 14 feral werewolves behind Denny's. That's my Tuesday. The fuck, no. But yeah, I guess it's just like one of those things. Like, I was getting feedback on my book, and one of the things that they told me was that, but they were giving me feedback, and one of the things they told me is that, like, I have a part of the, oh, this is what I was gonna tell you guys, and then I forgot. But okay, so I told you guys about how my mom read my smut, and she, and it kind of like, so I live with my parents right now, right? Me and my husband both live with my parents. It kind of became like a meme across the household of, like, reading chapter 3, because chapter 3 in my manuscript right now is currently the smuttiest. It's got, oh, hold on, let's check. Hold up. Let me look. It's got, the music really adds to this, by the way. It's got degradation, bondage, and magical temperature play, and choking, right? I'm like skimming through it. Yeah, the love interest transmogs, like, lube into ice and then, like, plays with his dick with it, which I've decided to keep that in because it's kind of world building in a way. But basically what she was saying was, like, if everything, like, you can't have the craziest scene be the first one, because then you have to have somewhere to grow. So I think I'm gonna cut the bondage, But the idea behind the magic system is you can use anything to power a spell, but you can't pull a spell out your ass, right? Well, unless it's like a different type, you know what I mean? But that's the idea, is like anything can be used to power a spell, right? This is a modern setting. Well, not entirely modern, but like Y2K, early 2000s type setting, right? You can use a fucking Advil to power a healing spell, right? You can, you know, shit like that. And that's what the love interest does. He uses lube to power a frost spell to play with his balls, you know? So you can't pull a spell out your ass, but you can put a spell in your ass. Amen, brother. So bad I had two friends with the same name. Jay, the one with the piss cake. That's my dad's name. Fuck. I hope my parents aren't watching this one. Hi, Satsuna. Thank you for that, Jay. The posture check. Lord knows I need it. Stretch. Oh, I forgot my tits! My tits! Maho, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the stream. Hi, Fiery. Oh, Tim! Hello! Oh, I forgot just as I forgot my tits. Hold on, I'm turning on my tits. My tits. Hello! Welcome in, Raiders. Hello! Let me put my iPad down so I can do the thingy. Hello! How was your stream? What did you do? What did you gamer? I mean, your name is right there, but I had to like double. I'm like, how do I spell pigeon? And the word was right there. Wait, is it shout out? Shout out? Yes. Okay, I think I'm doing it right. It's been so long since I stream. Like, it's only my third stream back, and I'm like, ugh, a little bit of music production and a little white knuckle. Oh, nice. I hope you had a good stream. Please go follow Pigeon. He's fantastic. Fantastic artist. Fantastic producer. Swag. But for those of you who are new in town, hi. My name is eebee. A lot of people know me as the director of Off Choir, as a music teacher in the VTuber community, but when I'm not doing those things, I am writing smut and drawing naked men. Hi. So if that's cool with you, then welcome. I think, wait, let me test my tits, because I forgot if it worked. Let me put OBS on my other monitor. I think I have it on. Did the tits work? Truly a generational talent. Thank you. Wait, let me see if this, test it. Oh, I think that worked. It did! Okay, perfect. The professional and coherent vocal coach, the smut gremlin with ADHD. Yes. And if you would like to read some of my smut or some of my novel that I'm working on, I post it all on Blue Sky. I don't post it on Twitter because I don't want to do that, because there are people that I respect that follow me professionally on there, like Tim. But here we are anyway. So, for those of you who just came in, this is my OC Callan. He is the protagonist of my novel. He is a bit of a mess, and he is in the mafia, and he is a whore. That's kind of all you need to know. He makes really bad decisions, and he kills people. And he's very pretty while doing it. So, I am very much a beginner artist. I've only been drawing for like, I think since like February of 2025, I think. Yeah. It was something I started doing while I was on hiatus from streaming. So this is only my like third stream back in like 2 years. Thank you. Yeah, so I started drawing then, and one of my friends was basically telling me to try this like grayscale coloring thing, and that's kind of what we're doing. And we started like messing around with like the colors and stuff, like kind of messing around with just, you know, values and that's right, I never put my highlights back up, and whatnot, just to see kind of what the vibes are. I don't know if I like it. I probably need to fuck with it a little bit more to see. That's right, I think I put it on this or something like that. Yeah, I don't know. But I'm very much like in the fuck around and find out kind of vibe, you know? So we might keep drawing, we might switch to Skyrim soon. I'm not sure. Where's the save redeem? Do you mean the save? Wait, what's the save redeem? What is that? Do you mean like, I don't know. Save what? Is this a bit I'm walking into? Probably. Hope you accidentally post your smile on the wrong account and your professional peers see it. Listen. I think part of the reason why I totally swapped my... Oh! Have an art redeem that reminds you to save your art. Well, Procreate auto-saves, I think. So I think if I do this, then I'm like, good. Don't look at the other art there. It's not important. Though we're good for Skyrim. You know what? You're so right. That actually should work for Skyrim. But yeah, I think, hold on. Go back to normal. Where's normal? Normal. And I want to give him more shadow on the bush. That's what I'm thinking about right now. I feel like it should be... I don't know. I feel like there should just be more bush in general. But I don't know how I don't even know. I'm not good at rendering pubic hair, to be honest. Like, I just feel like just a general, like, bit more of a shadow there right now before drawing program. You know what? I will add that. Like, for drawing or for Skyrim, it could work. But yeah, this is also my first drawing stream. I've never done a drawing stream before. This is my first time doing it. I don't know how you're supposed to do it. It's probably very unorganized, and like I said, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing in terms of art. I am very much a beginner, trying her best, but I'm having fun, and that's what matters, right? So, you know, but yeah, I think what we're gonna do, 1, draw, 2, stream. I feel like I'm getting to the stage where I, like, need to take a break from it because I've been staring at it for so long. I don't like his forehead. I still don't know what the fuck happened with the highlights on his, like, right here. Like, honestly, these, we can just not, let me actually, let's see if we can kind of fix this at least. Like, where's, the fill brush? The one I use for solid shit. Here we go. What is that? Oh, I probably have something over this that's... Oh, no, it should be fine. Okay. Oh, it's the opacity. That's... Okay. Let me... Oh, wait. Why is it a different color? What? Do I have something over it that's fucking with it? I don't know. What did I do? What is happening? Oh, well. Okay. Yeah, because it says that's on normal, too. I don't know. Classic name layers redeemed, but that might be... Listen! Don't talk about my layers! I don't know what happened here. Why is it not the right purple? What happened? Wait, it's all on normal, right? What happened? That's not the... What did I do? I mean, it's not the end of the world. It's really not. But I just don't know why. I mean, maybe this one? Let's try that. That's a little bit better. Kind of dull down the accidental highlights I did there. Yeah, for those of you who also just came in, I did have... Yeah, no, that's fucked up too. What did I do? One of these has got to be on multiply or something, but I don't see it. I don't know. I'm about to RQ. I'm about to RQ art. That's how bad it is. But yeah, I'm like, what? Oh, like if I do a different brush, will it? Oh wait, but now it went away. What? I don't know, man. Whatever. What was I talking about? Oh, I never finished telling the story about my dad and the smut. Okay, yeah. So anyway, so for those of you who just came in, yeah, I think we're gonna take a break from this for a bit. I think I'm getting... I feel like my brain is cooked with it for now. You know what I mean? Right? So let's actually take a break from art and start up Skyrim. And I will tell you this story while I am starting up Skyrim. Let me go to the game screen. And let me do this. Oh, that's me. Wait, where's my... I'm trying to... Hold up. Let me... Find my model for a second. I have the item settings. I'm trying to get my drawing tablet away, but I think I accidentally... There we go. Right, let me give it that. Okay. Ah! Who bonked me? Oh, my tits are showing again. Whoopsie. Ah! Okay. Okay, let me do the thing. Let me turn off my iPhone. Okay. I mean, I think we still made a lot of progress, though. I think it was still good, a good run. You know, let me change the category, and we will rim the sky, every single part of it. All right, let me turn off the music real quick. There we go. And where's my good old Skyrim? Where's Vortex? I kept Vortex open this entire time. I never closed it. Although I don't think I've closed Vortex very often anyway. I did do some mining off stream. So if it was your first time watching my stream in a hot minute, if you did not see the return stream, basically we are big chillin'. The way I am streaming now is kind of going to be all over the place, but that's okay. So we're not doing themed playthroughs. Basically, when I started streaming, or when I started playing Skyrim again, because I took a break from playing Skyrim for a bit because I was just so busy. But when I took the break, Burke's the guy that made the collection I used to play, Immersive and Adult. He was still on hiatus, and there wasn't like a working version of Immersive and Epic or Immersive and Adult. So I swapped to, let me actually move this real quick, hold up. But I swapped to Blood and Lust, and that's what I've been playing lately, and that's what we're going to be playing today, simply because I have over 1,000 displays in the museum. I have over 1,000 displays in the museum, and I was like, I do want to try the new Immersive and Epic, but like, I've never made this much progress ever on a modded Skyrim save, so I'm not ready to give it up yet. But there is Proteus in this load order too, so it's gonna blow up eventually. The return of the disc eebee one. So I have been thinking about that, and my big thing with streaming, like coming back, is I talked about this before last stream, but I'll talk about it again. But basically my thing is, like, I've realized that I like streaming. I don't like being a streamer, if that makes sense. Like, the responsibilities of, like, you know, I guess it's one of those things where, like, whenever I do something, I have to full ass it, right? I can't half-ass anything is my big thing, right? So I didn't really like I realized that, like, the things that burned me out and stuff were, like, things like making TikToks, were things like managing a Discord, you know, things like that. And I realized those were things that just, you know, were part of what drove me away from streaming. And part of it was also I got really, really sick. I had some really bad vocal damage issues for a while. So I'm very much streaming, like, once, maybe twice a month, maybe 3 times a month. But I realized the parts of streaming that I loved was talking to you guys and yapping about my OCs. Because that's why I basically, like, started full assing when I was on break, was writing. And now I have a completed first draft of something. I've never completed a first draft of anything in my entire fucking life. So I was very, very proud of myself. And I'm still proud of myself. I'm getting into dev editing right now, and it's brutal, but it's going along. But basically what I kind of decided, got stuck on my head. But basically what I decided was I might make a Discord again, but I don't have time to, like, manage it, so to speak. So if I make a Discord again, it's probably going to be like an emote only type server, and I'll probably post, like, my art or maybe some writing snippets there too. So I'm still working on setting that up, because I'd like to draw some new emotes and stuff. But there probably will be a Discord again, but it'll definitely be very, very low-key, very much kind of an emote-only type server thing, stream alert type server thing, because I just don't have the energy. I manage so many Discords with, like, work and with, you know, off choir, you know, I just don't got the energy. But so that's the way I've kind of figured, as some eebee is better than no eebee, you know? So I'm not really gonna have a schedule. I'm every time I stream, it's probably gonna be Sundays. There might be some other days, but it's probably gonna be Sundays. But it may not be every Sunday. I will be posting stream announcements though, and I am gonna upload the VOD from the return stream. I just haven't done it yet. But basically, I am going to be posting announcements for when I stream, since it's gonna be a little bit more sporadic nowadays, on my YouTube community page and on my Blue Sky. And my Blue Sky is also where I post a lot of my art and my writing and stuff like that. Because that's kind of what I've started whole assing, so to speak, is my writing. And I've been having a lot of fun with it. I really have been. I'm really proud of myself. I wrote, like, I think like 300 word, or no, not 300, 300,000 words in 2025. Not sure how many I'm at it for 2026, but between my book, my projects, and like my Tumblr blog, it's been a lot, and I've grown a lot as a writer and as a creative, and I'm really proud of myself. So, you know. And now we just, oh, here it is. Okay. Hello. Yay. Okay. So I did do some mining off stream. Really, a lot of it was, we had quite a few crashes that were a little detrimental last time. And so I redid the stuff that we lost. So we went back and I got the Stone and Burns Eye that I missed. I did some of the Riften stuff. I also started the fishing quest. But the big thing last time was starting the Dark Brotherhood, right? And one of my OCs that I told you about when I did my big return stream, I did my OC PowerPoint, and I'm gonna upload that on YouTube. It's really unhinged and really unorganized, but that's what you always get with me. Was a lady named Faldra, and Faldra's whole bit is that she's a very talented shadow mage and assassin. So it felt wrong to do Dark Brotherhood without her, but I was having a really hard time importing her with Proteus. But I got her in, right? I managed to get her in, and she's really pretty, and I don't remember what voice I gave her, because Faldra's bit entirely is I kind of want her to be an anti-femme fatale, in the sense that, like, I feel like a lot of times when you see femme fatales, they're very, like, what's the word I'm looking for? They're very well put together, right? They're very, like, cool, right? It's not just a matter of, like, they're good at killing people, right? But they're, you know, they're very, like, chill, and they're very, like, icy or whatever. And Faldra's whole bit is I wanted a femme fatale character who also had, like, the kind of, like, the typical, like, sunshine personality. Like, she has a really, like, shrill voice. She's really loud. She's very over the top, but she still kills people. Like, she's very sweet, you know? So that was my goal with her. So I think I gave her one of the old lady voices. Let's find out. But I think we're in the museum right now, given the BGM. Let me turn my game volume up just a little bit. Let me see. Yeah, we're in the museum right now. Desktop audio, we'll put it to like here. Let me know if things get too loud. But let me see. So we got the gang here. Am I? Ooh. Okay. So I drop frames here a lot, and I think it's because there's so many displays. So we currently have 3 OCs with us. One of them is Faldra! Yes. She's so cute. But right now I have her as dual wielding daggers. She has a lot of invisibility spells, so I keep accidentally shooting her in the face. But she's so sweet and she's so pretty. But I finally got her in the game. So we will get Vanya and Severin and Jasper in the game eventually, but I have to do it one at a time.
Let me know if there's anything else you need.
So it doesn't, like, get fucked up. Hi, Noah! Welcome in! Not the beacon. But we also have... Oh, Bean! 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 We have to make him explode. Hold on. Fire magic. That shit is so fucking funny to me. The way he just explodes. I love that shit. I love Bean. No, he's fine. He's just red now. A darkness that you will. Oh, hey. Hello. Oh, yeah, we gotta do cheese update. Cheese update. But yes, we have Faldra with us, who is our shadow assassin. We have Alex, that is Callan's boy toy, and we are playing as Callan. I couldn't find a hairstyle that I liked for him. But he does look very beautiful, and I love him so much. But we are just kind of casually rocking the mask of Clavicus Vile. And then we also have Velithil, who is Alex's mentor and a terrorist. So he constantly accidentally kills me, and it's really funny. But let's do our cheese update. God, I dropped so many frames here. Do they update LOTD anytime this year? I actually have no idea. I think I started this save back at the beginning of the year in January, so I would not know. Cheese time. Cheese time. Look at all my cheese. My cheese. My section. Gross. Look at all my cheese. It's so good. But yeah, so I have gotten some more cheeses in the meantime. The mask of give me 20% off or so help me. Yeah, pretty much. But I think let's gear up, and I do want to turn survival back on. I had it turned off for a bit because I was messing with some stuff. We're gonna turn it back on. So if he's too cold, he will fucking die. My carry weight is a pretty good. I have not bitten the forbidden cheese yet. Do I have the forbidden cheese? I don't think I have it yet. I have to find it still, I think. Do we have it? Let me just do. No, we don't have it yet. There are no negative consequences to eating the forbidden cheese. Why do I feel like you're lying to me? Why would you lie to me? Okay, so let's start gearing up to roll out. Let me see what I have in my... There's a few things I need to drop off to the museum, but do I have food? I do want to make sure we're like geared up. No, I don't. We will probably stop dropping frames once we leave the museum. I promise. There's just a lot going on in here. Let's bring some slaughter fish, a home-cooked meal, and some beef. And maybe very good for eebees especially. You know, I still feel like you're lying to me. And we'll give him a little treat. If he's a good boy, he can get a little treat. But let's see. Thank you, Bean. Let me drop off. There's a few things I gotta drop off for displays. And there's a few displays I am having like the bug where it's like, I don't know if this is a bug. Could just be a me thing. Like with how this load order is there's so much shit I've had. This is the true eebee Skyrim experience. This shit is crazy. Of how I think we're at like 1600 mods or something like this. What was the word I was gonna say? Forbidden cheese that explodes you instantly. I mean, I got IBS, so in a way that is all cheese. But I didn't take my ADHD medicine today. Side note. But yeah, so I have some things that I need to drop off in the museum. Oh, that's right. It was the where sometimes it'll like say that something hasn't been added to the museum, but it actually has been, right? I'm having that a little bit. And so I have a few things where it says they haven't been added, but they probably have. I think they have. But I want to be sure. So I wanted to like go find them manually, but I wanted to like double check. Like that one Young Scrolls song. Hi JK. With spicy food, it's not the first burn you gotta worry about. Exactly. The girls who get it, get it. Okay, let me see. Oh, I just walked right the fuck past it. Hold up. Alright, let's display everything. Yeah, because I think I crafted some stuff that can be displayed. So I want to make sure that's over with. I think what we're gonna do is I do want to do some more Dark Brotherhood quest stuff today. I don't have any more of these, do I? No. I do think, let me see where we're at. We do need to find the Stormcloak doll, apparently. I don't remember. I don't know why that's giving us, I feel like I found the Stormcloak doll, but I don't know. And then we need to meet, that's right, we have the main quest. Do we want to do the main, let's do the main quest today. We'll do main quest since it's right there. And then maybe we'll do some Dark Brotherhood stuff. I can't remember. Because the Sanctuary, I think we got the thing to come to the Sanctuary? Maybe not. I feel like I would have seen it. Although it might be not. Let me see. Main quest. Dragonborn, Dawnguard, the Thalmor Shadow. What? What? Where's my Dark Brotherhood quest? I did it. Why is the Dark Brotherhood not showing up? Oh, it's in factions. That's right. Okay, I didn't click it. There we go. Okay. Dark Brotherhood, the funky, fresh, fruity people killer game. Yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah, so we haven't been to the Sanctuary yet. So I think we'll do that, and we'll do some of the main quest. Let me see. Yeah, it's still sorting, but we're close. Okay, yeah, just one. That's fine. Anything that is part of this, I think I'm gonna just drop off here just in case. Yeah, like this says it. Let me just do one of these moves because my phone is blocking my screen a little bit. Oh, yeah, that I can't remove. I know that. Yeah, I think that's it in terms of things that are lying to me. Yeah, okay. Okay. No, because that's gonna fuck up the game. Alright, let's skedaddle and let's talk to Malborn and maybe fuck with the Thalmor today. I always like fucking with the Thalmor, to be fair. Why are my eyes closed? Why did my model freeze? Bitch, wake up! Wake up! Wake up! Oh no! Oh no! I mean, I could just restart VTube Studio. It's not the end of the world. Hold up. Let me do that while we're... I don't want to do it in a loading screen. But actually, I should probably take a break just so I can refill my water. But I'm going to do that. And we will come back in like 3... Oh, now she's working again. Okay. Oh, I think my USB just got disconnected. But I should probably take a break to refill my water. But we will come back in like 3 minutes, I think. And then I will get this loading screen going while we're on the BRB thing. But we'll come back in like 3 minutes just so I can grab more water. So let me do... Where's the... Yeah, let's do just a quick little ad break. Yeah, we'll do 3 minutes. All right, we will be back in 3 minutes. I promise I won't start before then. Okay, boop. And then, where's my, there we go. Okay, we will be back in a second. Okay, back to Skyrim. I have got my water. I am refreshed. I am ready to rim the sky. Oh, that loading screen took forever, by the way. It took like a minute and a half. But that's okay. So, hello everybody. I hope everyone had a good snack break. Did you see that? Not this, god damn it. This happens exactly last stream. This happens. Every fucking time I walk out my goddamn house. Where's my bow? damn it. Okay, not this shit again. All right, hello. I guess we gotta do this. Where'd he go? Wait, what? Oh, he's right there. Okay, shit. Oh, I didn't realize I had fire arrows out. This is risky. Using the fire arrows, that's a bad idea. That's a bad fucking idea. I'm gonna accidentally shoot a guard in the head. Come on. Let's not. Oh god, you're getting. He's just standing there. That is not his business. That is not his business. Are you gonna help? Are any of you gonna help? No? Okay. Alright, where'd he go? Listen. We may. Oh shit. Okay. You're standing still. You're standing still. No, god damn it! Fuck. Listen. I said. Oh, god. Ah! What the fuck was that? I got stuck on a thingy. Okay. Where'd he go? Come here. Come on. Come on. Okay, he's coming. He's slow. Oh god. Oh, I can't see shit. I can't see shit. Okay. Calm down, please. Please. It's like they have a hit on you or something. They do! Too busy serving Aqyn. Yes! He's too beautiful! Leave him alone! He's too pretty for this! Come on. Okay. Come on. Can you make up your mind? Make up your mind. With that ancient dragon showing up in my... I really don't know what I expected. Come on, do something! Okay. Where'd he go? Whoa! Okay, he's here. Come on. Alex healed fall. That's great. Can Alex do fucking anything else? Okay. Come on, he has negative health, dude. Let him... Oh, Jesus. Okay. Alright, that was a lot. That was a lot, but that's okay. We're good. Okay. Did the dragon kill a pigeon? Oh no, it killed a rat.
Wonder. Does the dragonborn just once he's summoned by the Greybeards?
Yeah, my dick sucked. Alright, anyway. That's cool. New dragon soul. Yippee. That seems like a good marker to save. I like the save redeem idea. I think we're gonna do that. Oh shit. It's so rad. Okay, let's see. Where are we going? Where am I meeting him? That's right, I'm meeting him in the inn. Okay. I feel like I don't remember everything about this quest. I haven't done the main quest in forever, but I feel like I remember Malborn saying something like weird. So that'll be fun. I think he says something vaguely sexual because I remember making a TikTok about him like back in the day. Let's see. But oh yeah, okay. I keep trying to tell this story, but I get distracted by other shit. My dad and the smut. Okay, but basically, it became the chapter that was the smuttiest became kind of a meme in the house, right? It was kind of a meme of who had read chapter 3 and who hadn't. My mom read it, my sister read it, and like I asked my mom, like we were kind of like joking around, like just joshing, right? And I was like, I don't know, I was thinking about cutting it, and my mom was like, no. So it became kind of a joke. And my dad at one point asked my mom straight up. He was like, do you think I could skip it? And my mom was like, no, it's important. It's important. You have to read it. You have to read it. You have to read the gay sex. It's important to the plot. And my dad finally read it today. And I was like, well, what do you think? And he's like, stops and he pauses. He's like, I think you gotta keep it in. So that's what happened today. That was my morning. Alright, where is Malborn? But I needed to tell that story because I kept getting distracted every time I went to do it. He's in here, isn't he? Isn't he supposed to be here? Hello? Is he not supposed to be here? Maybe I'm wrong, actually. Maybe he's somewhere else. Meet Malborn in solitude, yeah. Where the fuck? Are you somewhere else? Leave me alone. I really thought he was here, but maybe we're not gonna talk to him. Okay, fuck me, I guess. Unless... maybe uppies? Are you uppies? I like how you can hear all my followers behind it. Yeah, there he is! I knew he was here! I'm not crazy.
Good evening.
Hi.
Really? You're who she picked? I hope she knows what she's doing.
Excuse me?
Here's the deal. I can smuggle some equipment.
I'm the Dragonborn, suck my dick and balls.
Don't plan on bringing anything else in with you. The Thalmor takes security very seriously. Give me what you can't live without, and I'll make sure to get it into the embassy.
Okay.
The rest is up to you.
What kind of thing should I bring?
You're asking me? She promised that she was sending someone who knew what they were doing.
I just,
If you actually
listen,
wanna
I
get
don't know
out
how
alive,
much you can
I'll
carry,
bring
man.
whatever you need to move quietly and kill quickly.
Okay, here's what I'll need.
Okay, I'll get
we'll
this
give
inside the embassy
him...
for you. I've got to go. I'll find you at the party.
Jesus
Don't worry.
Christ. Okay. We will give him my mask, my robes, these things. Why do I still have all these? I should have dropped these off. I forgot to do that. Yeah, why is bro so rude? And then where's my jewelry and stuff I'm not too worried about, actually. Where's my bow? There you go. All right, take that. Oh. I should, oh God. I should probably, you know what, maybe we will put that ebony armor to use. Let's see. Do I have any light armor on me? Listen, oh, his dick is out, hold on. Oh, his dick is still out, oh no. Oh God, okay, it's fine, just don't look at it. Okay, just, we're not gonna acknowledge it, we're not, there we go, close enough, okay. He's taking his cock out! Okay, and we'll put the dogs away too, because I'm feeling nice today. Actually that looks, there we go, okay. Jesus Christ. Is it really an eebee stream if there's no dick slip? Like, let's be so honest. Okay, let's go to this Thalmor party. And let's get the fucking tea. Let's get the fucking tea. Let's kill the Thalmor. It'll be awesome.
Get into the party without being fingered as a spy.
Why are they fingering me? I mean, okay. To be an effective spy, I had to get my butthole fingered in a bathroom. That's just what I needed to do for the sake of the mission. Where Thalmor Embassy is like all the way over here, right? Oh, he's gonna be cold. I'm in survival mode. He's gonna be so cold. Cause it's not here. Let me look at my journal. Hold up. His dick and balls are gonna get cold. Leave him alone. There we go. I forgot to say hi to Dad Be Bubby. Yes, okay. I do need to give an apology. Okay, this is my YouTuber apology. I said that last stream, and I forgot that my sister was watching stream. And she was very upset that I did not shout out my sister. And my sister, hold up, she asked me to tell all of you that she is fantastic, that I am short, and that she is better than me in every way. And she was so mad at me that I forgot to shout her out that she made me take her to Sheets and buy her a slushie, which I did. Sister B is so slay queen. I don't know if she's watching this stream. She may not be watching this stream. She may, you know, but if she is, I'm sorry. I will never forget to shout you out again. I hope that's okay. I hope that and the slushie I bought you from Sheets at like 10 p.m. was actually, no, I think it was like 7 p.m. was enough. I hope you can find it in your heart to forgive me. But let's take a look and let's see. I think we did this quest maybe once. Yeah, because I remember talking to Malborn, but I don't remember if we ever like finished it deadass. So we'll find out. You know, we'll find out. But yeah, I think let's see. Oh, here we go. All right. Okay, his dick is no longer out. I love that the armor is like clipped for a second, by the way.
Watch the skies,
like, I know it wasn't supposed to do that. I'm trying to get to it again. But it's like he had like the like split leg for a second where it's like and I was like, damn, that's kind of a look actually. Alright, Delphine. Where?
Have you given
oh, there he
Malborn
is.
the gear you want to smuggle into the embassy?
Yes, I have.
Good. I have your invitation to the party.
Okay.
But the only way you're going to get past the guards is if they really believe you're an invited guest.
Mm-hmm.
Which means you need to look the part and not be armed to the teeth. Here, put this on. When you're ready, I'll keep the rest of your gear safe until
that
you
armor
get
was
back.
so cool. I
You only
love
have
that
what
armor.
Malborn
The armor he
smuggled in
normally
for you,
wears,
plus
I love
whatever
that
you
shit.
can pick up inside.
It is like I haven't found an armor set that's better, but I honestly just don't want to get rid of it. All right, where's the party clothes? All right, time for the lamest fit of all time. Yay! Can I? Okay, my husband apparently likes it. I just got the oh romance notification.
You should pass for a real guest, at least until you open your mouth.
Okay, she's kind of got me there.
The
How does he look? I don't know. I think he's kind of like low key. If we take the scarf off, he's kind of serving with the cloak. Is that rooster huge? This one? Oh, this one. I think you're right. I don't think that should be that big. All right, let's head over there, and let's do some espionage. Okay. I have no idea how this is gonna work with all my followers in tow, but we're gonna make it work. All right, I'm ready.
I guess that we'll have to ready to board the carriage to the embassy.
I'm ready.
Don't worry, it will all be waiting for you when you get back.
Yay.
Just make sure you get back out of there alive with the information we need. Good luck.
I'm still carrying a oh, okay, I guess she took my other shit? Yeah. It's huge. It is kind of massive. Boy, she took my cloak. I can't even bring my cloak in. Well, it is an Imperial. Well, no, yeah, the Imperial cloak should be fine. The Thalmor are kind of allies with the Imperials. Not really, but you know. Okay. Espionage time. I'm trying to think if there's something else. Yes, there was something else I wanted to tell you. So, I mentioned before how I'm probably not going to be streaming, like, weekly. Although I did stream last week and then this week just because I felt like it. I'm definitely not going to be streaming next week because I'm going to a festival.
Fellow latecomer to Ellenwood's little soiree.
I'm fashionably late,
And
okay?
arriving by carriage, no less. I salute you, sir.
Yeah, so is she, like, fine?
Getting lost on the way up this godforsaken mountain.
This quest was not meant for followers.
Miss out on any of the drinking.
His facial expression is so fucking good.
There's not enough drinking in the world.
The subtle judgment.
the
I
Thalmor
love that.
Embassy.
The
Your
delay is
invitation,
crazy.
please.
Are you talking about the loading screen or is the stream delayed? It might have just been my brain delayed, honestly. Here you go.
Thank you, sir. Go right in.
You're welcome.
Now then,
Okay.
here's my invitation. I don't have a
Okay,
poison
me and the
to drink.
gang. Yeah, Alex's vampire armor. It's fine. It's fine. Me and my gang. We're... It's fine. Everything's cool. Everything's chill. But yeah, I'm not going to be streaming next week, but I will probably be streaming the week after that. I'm not sure. But like I said, I will announce all my streams on YouTube and Blue Sky. And I will post the old VOD, the return stream VOD, and this one. Chat delay. Oh! I don't know what my chat delay is set to. I'm going to be honest. Like, low-key, when I was like, yeah, I'm going to start streaming again, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing anymore. Like, it's been so long. Hey.
Welcome.
Oh, her hair.
I don't believe
Oh,
we've
they
met.
snatched her wig.
I am Ellenwood, the Thalmor ambassador.
Something
to
is
Skyrim,
fucked up with
and
that,
you
and I don't know what it is. That's happened to a few NPCs. I don't know what it is, but I haven't fixed it because it's kind of funny. Hi. Can I, it's my first time, you know?
Don't worry. My parties are always well stocked with the finest food and drink available in this country. But
Okay.
first, you were introducing yourself.
Hi.
Please, tell me more about yourself. What
Oh yeah,
brings
he
you
is
to
a
this-
high elf. He is racially a high elf, so maybe that's why she's being
What
so
is it
nice
now,
to me.
Vaughn?
It's just that we've run out of the Alto wine. Do I have your permission to uncork the Arinthia Red?
Of
Who are you?
course. I've told you before
Yes?
not to bother
Oh.
me with such trifles.
Yes, Madam Ambassador.
My apologies. We'll have to get better acquainted.
Her
later.
armor's really
Please,
cool.
Enjoy yourself.
I want to kill her for her armor. Like, I know I can't right now, but... Okay. I don't remember what I'm supposed to do here. I'm supposed to talk to people, right?
What does a fellow need to do to get a drink?
Oh, whoops.
Pardon me, friend. I didn't see you standing there. Allow me to introduce myself. Rosalind, imports and exports by trade. Observer of human nature by avocation.
Okay. You look thirsty.
My friend, you are very perceptive. I have a powerful thirst that cannot be slaked.
Yeah, me
And
too,
none
buddy.
of the waiters will bring me a drink. Ellenwood must have told him to
Didn't you
cut
just
me
get
off.
here too?
Bitch. Afraid I'll cause another scene, I suppose.
Wait. Oh, I remember now. I remember. We're supposed to get him a drink and then he causes a scene for us or something like that. I remember.
What can I get for you? You made it in. Good. As soon as you distract the guards,
Why is that
I'll
cup
open
like
this door
jiggling?
and we can get you on your way. Let's
Okay.
hope we both live through this day.
All right. I would like a drink.
Here you go, sir. The finest Colovian brandy.
Yay.
Is there anything else I can get for you?
No.
All
So
right, then.
I think I can give him the drink.
What does a fellow need to do to get a drink?
Yeah. Here you go.
Ah, the one generous soul amongst
That's
a
me.
gathering of
Yes,
pinch
that is
pennies
me.
and lick spittles. If there's anything I can ever do for you, do
Well.
not hesitate to call upon me.
Well. Actually,
Wonderful.
there is something you
I
can
can
do.
begin to repay your generosity immediately. Say on, friend.
I need you to cause a scene and get everyone's attention for a few minutes.
Is that all? My friend, you've come to the right
Oh my
person.
god.
You could say that causing a scene is somewhat of a specialty of mine.
Okay.
Stand back and behold my handiwork.
Alright. I do want to look at everyone's fits. I do like the mods that make the party clothes not as ugly. Okay.
Let's go. Let's go. Before anyone notices.
I do want to hear his speech, but it's okay.
Nothing could be more unlikely than that someone would actually want her in their bed.
Damn!
Most of you are already in bed with her. But again,
I love him.
Oh.
I'm obsessed with him. Wait, where is my shit?
So far, so good. Let's hope nobody saw us slip out. We need to pass through the kitchen. Your gear is hidden in the larder.
In the larder.
Just
Okay.
stay close and let me do any talking. Got it?
Yes.
Follow me.
Okay. I'm ready. I'm acting natural.
Who comes, Malburn? You know I don't like
Hi.
snakes in my kitchen.
A guest feeling ill. Leave the poor wretch be.
Oh.
Guest? In the kitchens? You know this is against the
But I'm
rules.
cool. I'm promised.
Is it, Savani? I didn't realize that eating moon sugar was forbidden. Perhaps I should ask the ambassador.
Get out of here. I saw nothing.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Your gear. Hurry it up.
Okay.
Gotta get back
Alright, let me get my
before I
shit
miss
back. I need my drip. Where is my drip? Bring me my drip. Oh, here it is. Oh, I forgot my gloves. God damn it. It's fine. Look at his little hands sticking out. That's so funny. Oh wait, no, I have them. Okay. Like I said, my phone is blocking like some of my view of the screen, so I can't like entirely see it. Okay. Oh my god. Chat, you know what I forgot to bring? Oh, I forgot to bring arrows. Oh no. Oh, I didn't think
Come
that
on.
through.
If someone misses me at the party, we're both dead.
Okay. Well, I do have some magic.
Those robes
You're on your own
this
now.
morning. Who are they?
Okay, what am I supposed to be doing, by the way? Search for information about the dragons returning. Okay, I need to... What spells... He has no magic skills. Like, I have spells because I've taught them to other followers. Wait, where did gang go? My gang came in with me. I think they ditched me.
I guess.
I think they have to ditch me. Okay. Well, we've got... You know what? We'll just go with this. And, that. That should be fine.
Worried about all the dragon attacks. Ah,
The
good.
one thing he does
I've
have is
been
he is very
wondering how we were
sneaky.
supposed to defend this place from a dragon.
If a dragon does show up, maybe we'll get lucky and it will eat the mages first.
Hmm.
Might give us enough time to kill it. Ha! I'd like to see those arrogant bastards take
I'm looking to see if there's any fucking arrows in here.
down their noses at us lowly foot slobbers.
Foot slobbers. Foot slobbers.
Better get back to our rounds.
What do you mean by that? Oh god, I don't have anything, do I? There's no, like, knife or anything either? You can come out here? I might be able to be sneaky. I might be able to... Hi, Chasefire! Welcome in. I, went to the Thalmor embassy and I forgot all my fucking arrows. I stand very still. Okay. Oh, wait. Low key. Wait. There's no quiet way to make someone explode. Although there is a perk for it. I just don't have it. Shit. Okay. You don't see me. Not the same armor. Oh my god. Okay. I'm wondering if I have any powers that could help me. Although, I do have this. So maybe... Do I just kill him? I think I just kill him. I don't know how much damage I'm gonna do. If we can sneak past him for now. Maybe if I hide right here. Okay. Oh! Oh! I'm so sneaky! Okay. Ooh, money. Okay, take that. I don't think that was where I was supposed to go. Oh well. Or maybe it was. Oh my god, my gang is back! Hello, everyone! Hi! Hello! Hello! Actually, wait, hold up.
Yes? Of course.
Do you have any arrows? No. I think it should be fine, because now I have my gang, and they will do damage. And we have Faldra, and Faldra will do damage. Wait, I don't do this a whole lot. I'm wondering...
What can I do for you? Oh, really? Need
hey, girl,
something?
can you... Go get him, girly pop! Go get him, girly pop! Oh.
What was that?
Come on, you can do it! Oh, god damn it, Faldra! Oh, there she goes. Close enough. Oh. The way he just stood there for a second. Okay, yeah, there's no... Oh, Jesus Christ! Oh, Jesus fuck! Oh, no. Okay. Fuck. Oh, what's the weeping danger? What the fuck? Okay. Oh, fuck. I don't have actually enough magicka. Okay. I'm stressed. Wait. I forgot I could do the thing. I haven't had a Dragonborn playthrough in so long. Ah! Oh my god, he's level 6. Oh, wait, that's 44. Ah! Oh, Jesus, I'm just tickling his balls with my fire. Okay, come on. Come here. I just need to lead him to my friends, okay? Hello. These are my friends. Oh, God, my friends are not doing good. Oh, no. Oh, no. Okay, do any of the corpses have arrows on them? Oh, fuck! Shit! When did I last save? No. God damn it. I don't have autosaves turned on because Skyrim autosaves are notorious for corrupting things, so I have them turned off. And does that mean this playthrough has been like much more stable because of it? Yes. But there are drawbacks. Let's see where the fuck it puts me. Oh no. We might need a save. I think we need a save. I think we need a save. I will add that after stream. Oh my god. Okay. I think the plan... Maybe I have one of the mages attack first, actually. Shouldn't it autosave? Yeah, I have... Okay, yeah. Oh, chat. I hate it here. I actually hate it here. I'm upset. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Okay? We can do it again. Easy peasy. Okay? This is not the end of the world. We can do this. I believe in us. Okay? We can do this. Okay? We just need to get fingered and as a spy. Okay? That's what the guy said. We just need to get fingered and it'll all be okay. That's what he said. Right? You were there. You heard him. That's what we gotta do, okay? Maybe that's why I died. I didn't get fingered good enough. That's
Welcome to the
okay.
Winking
Happens
Ski
to the
Park.
best of us,
Take a
really.
load off and enjoy the atmosphere.
Okay, we now know where he is, at least. Okay. Meow. And we're just gonna skip through all this fucking dialogue. Let me see. Hi. Oh, and he's not here, because fuck me, I guess. Okay, are you here? Who are you?
My father was all the family I ever had.
Womp womp. Okay. I don't care. Where is Malborn? Where is Malborn? Ah! Where is he?
He's in the inn. Look around. I'm sure you'll find him.
Dude, shut up, Fultra! God, that was perfectly timed. Oh my god, that was actually perfectly timed. Oh, where the fuck is he? Oh, hello. You're not who I'm looking for. Oh, now you're where I thought you'd be. Okay.
Yes.
Here's
the deal. Don't plan on- give me
We're
what you
just gonna
can't
skip
live
all
without,
this.
and I'll
I'm
make
ready.
You're asking me.
Okay,
If you
and we're
actually wanna
not-
get out alive, I'd bring whatever you need to.
We're not gonna
Okay,
forget
I'll get
arrows
this
this
inside
time.
the embassy for you.
Okay?
I've got to go. I'll find you at the
We're
party.
gonna
Don't worry.
do this bow, and we're gonna do, why do I have bolts? I don't have a crossbow. All of these arrows, those ones too, for good measure. And then we're gonna do my armor. I'm gonna get naked. Yay, 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 yay. And I want my fucking cloak. I like my cloak. Okay, I think it makes me look cool. And I'm gonna need that. I'm gonna need that. I'm gonna need that. Anything I'm wearing, I'm kind of like, okay. Okay, and then we have to stare at his cock and balls for a second, but we're gonna be really normal about it. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. Okay, it's fine. We have it under control, and we are going to save before we get to another loading screen. Okay. Oh, we can do it. We can do it. That is now my one goal. Okay, like just how our one goal of last stream became Dark Brotherhood. That is now my goal, is to do this quest. We are gonna do this quest, so help me God. Now I'm determined, okay? I love Diet Mountain Dew, unrelated. God damn it. Okay. Alright. We haven't had any sus loading screens so far. I'm really happy for us. We haven't, because did I tell you guys about the sus loading screens? Well, some of you might have seen them, but I didn't realize that if you took screenshots, I had the mod that made the screenshots loading screens. So we may or may not get a loading screen at some point of some activities.
Your job is to get into the party without being fingered as a spy.
I'm not getting fingered! Leave me alone! Okay, where are we going? Where are we going? Where are we going? I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. Okay. For the sake of the mission, I will not get fingered. Or I will get fingered. I don't fucking know anymore. Okay, this is a good one. This is a good one. I don't remember what this bug was, but he just started sitting midair, and it turned it into a painting. Isn't that nice? That's beautiful. I love that. It's gonna happen at some point. It happens to the best of us, okay? It really does. Man. Okay, we're gonna do it. But anyway, while we're redoing this quest, how's everyone's week been? Yeah, I think, back to the art thing where we started stream. I think I am gonna have to look at it a little bit more, but I am down to do another art stream. I'm thinking about, I don't have a ton of emote slots left, but there's also some emotes that I might get rid of just because they're really old and not really, like, relevant anymore, I guess. But I want to draw some new emotes, and I want to do a stream where we do that, and then I might make them, and then upload them to Twitch. Where's Delphine? I do need to talk to her to kick this whole shebang off. Here she is.
Have you given Malborn?
Yes. How?
Which means when you're ready.
I can do it.
I'll keep the rest of your gear safe.
Okay, my drip. My drip is here. Oh, it's so ugly. I mean, it could be a lot worse, but, like, he's so ugly. Hi, Procrastinator. Thank you for the hydrate. Let me hop in. Okay. What? That's right. I did this last time. I literally did this last time. I have to talk to her again. Okay. I'm not gonna rob the horse. There she is.
I guess that we'll have ready to board the carriage
Yes,
to the embassy.
I'm ready.
Don't just make good luck.
Okay. Right. Let's go. Let's not get exploded by the Thalmor this time. It'll be fine. But yeah, I think I am gonna do another art stream. I just like, I don't know. I think that might be the play though, is doing art and Skyrim, because I think it just, once you do, I get to a certain point where sometimes I'm like, I have been looking at this for too long. I need to step away from it. But we made some progress. I was happy with it. But I might do some more like studies, find some more references on just like torsos and shit, so I can make his muscles a little more defined. Alright, we're gonna just yoink. Can I get in?
Welcome to the Thalmor.
There you go.
Thank you, sir. Go right in.
Nice, thanks. Okay. 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 After this loading screen, we're gonna save again. I'm not doing this shit again. I'm not doing this shit again. Okay, we're not. No. Okay? No. No. And I think we're just gonna shoot everyone this time. I think that's what we're gonna do. We are going to kill everyone in Minecraft. I just like said that and I was like, that's a weird thing to say out of context. Is her wig gonna get snatched again?
Welcome. And you are?
Oh, her wig stayed this time. Okay. Hi.
Please.
Madam,
tell
okay.
me more about yourself.
Let me,
What is it,
where's the
Malcolm?
guy? The guy's not here yet. Okay.
Run out of the Alto wine.
Where's the guy?
Do I have your permission to
Where's the
uncork
guy?
the Arenthia Red?
Where's the guy?
Of course. I've told you before not to bother me with such trifles.
Here he is. Okay, we need to get.
Madam Ambassador.
We need to get him a drink.
We'll have to get better
And then
later.
we're good. Oh wait, save. Okay, perfect.
What can I get for you?
Drink.
You made it in.
Alcohol. No serious.
Let's hope we both live through this day. Of course.
Okay, drink.
I'll be waiting
drink,
by the door
drink,
for everyone to be distracted.
drink. I need you to
What is
get
that?
fucked up. Go
Allow
crazy.
me to
Ah, go
introduce-
stupid.
I'm not afraid I'll cause another scene.
Start
I
breakdancing.
suppose. My, and none of. Afraid I'll cause
Oh, wait,
another scene.
do I have to interact
what
again?
does a fellow need to do to get a drink?
Did I not get the drink? Maybe I didn't get the drink. I have the drink, right? Fuck, I didn't get the drink. Where's the drink? Oh, fuck.
What can I get for you, sir?
That's right. I'd like a drink.
Here you go. Is there anything else I can get for you? All
Okay,
right, then.
okay, there we go. Distraction.
What
Drink,
does a
drink,
fellow
drink,
need
drink.
to do to get?
Get fucked up. Get
If
wasted.
there's anything I can ever do for you, do not hesitate to call.
Oh, that's right. I need to ask him. Okay.
My friend.
Yes.
Of course.
I need you to start busting it down
Is
sexual
that
style in the
all?
middle of the room.
Stand back and behold my handiwork.
All right. He just gets in the middle of the room and he just starts jerking off immediately. Okay. I'm ready.
Yes. What do you need?
Okay.
Of course.
Okay. Okay.
Let me see if we have another bottle of that.
We did it.
I'll be
It wasn't
waiting
that
by
hard.
the door
It wasn't.
for everyone
We
to be
did it. We
distracted.
managed. Okay.
Let's go. Let's go. Before anyone
Okay.
notices us.
Okay. Okay. There's the door. Okay. Can I have my gear? Hey. Can I just? Hey, I'm supposed to be in here. Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's cool. It's chill.
So far, so nice.
Yep. Okay. All right. Drip. Drip. Give me my drip. Give me my necklace. Give me this shit. Yes. 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 And give me my little thing so I don't get chilly. We don't need the lantern right now though. Okay. And then arrows. Arrows. Ding. Bang. Okay. And I'm gonna save again because I don't want to do that shit again. Okay.
Your gear is hidden in the library.
Okay. It's fine.
Stay close and let me do any talking.
I am 3 steps ahead of you, my guy.
Did you see those robes marching this morning? Who are they with? More of the emissaries' treaty enforcers? No, they're high mages.
I can kill that man.
I guess herself is finally getting worried about all the dragonets. What was that?
Oh.
No more! I yield! I yield!
If you really yielded, you would shut the fuck up and not blow my cover. Oh, fuck. Oh. You can't see me! Okay. I'm pissed, okay? I'm mad. I'm just fucking killing everybody. Oh, glass sword. Don't mind if I do. Oh, I think it's up here. I never went up here last time. I think this is what I was supposed to do, actually. Well, let's see what's in here. Hello? Anyone in here? I mean, I don't think anyone's gonna be mad that I'm killing the Thalmor if we're being for real. Like, I think we're all gonna be really chill about it, actually. Okay, that leads me to Skyrim. There's snow on the ground. You guys gotta get like a rug or something. Jesus Christ. Okay, I'm also looking around because sometimes with stuff like this, there's like little collectibles for the museum that you can only get like once. So I'm being a little careful to see if there's anything. Alan of the Swift, what is that? I don't know. If it has a unique name. Yeah, like the Thalmor doll. Okay, there we go. Thalmor dolly. Got that. Aha! Cool. Okay, I don't need that, but that is another display. That's why you always check everywhere if you're playing Legacy of the Dragonborn, okay? There's always going to be extra shit to find. Now there, we went in, I think. Let's see. Any books I don't have? Thought I heard other people's footsteps. Seems like we're good over here. Let's see. I'll take these potions. Don't mind if I fucking do. Okay. Okay, I think now we have to go outside. Does it say where? Well, I don't think I need to speak to the Jarl of Falkreath right now. Okay, I think we are going outside though. But we got that. No one will find the bodies because I said so. Alright, and you know what we're gonna do? What's our favorite word of the day? It's save! We're gonna save! Okay. Now that I have arrows, I can be sneaky. Okay, now this is gonna be easy money. Alright, don't mess with me and my gang. Okay, let's see if we can get a good... There we go. Dude number 1. Aha! Okay. Let's see. That guy over there? Yeah. Dude number 2. I missed. Let's see. Did you have anything good? I'd like those arrows. Give me those arrows back. Okay, ooh. Let's wait till he stops so I can, like, secure. There we go. Aha! Anyone else up here before I start going crazy? Oh, I guess, okay, we'll go the perimeter. I think we might be good. Oh, there's one standing there. Dude, how do you not notice? Good job, Alex. Look at him. You're so good at being sneaky. Walks right fucking in. What is this dude's deal? Are you good? Oh, it's the pole. Okay, fine. Whatever. Hello. What the fuck is happening? Wait. What? Huh? What? Wait. Hello? Okay. Maybe he's just like really high. Maybe he's just like off his shits. Oh fuck. Okay, now things are happening. Oh shit. Okay. You're dead. They were like level 4. I think the followers. Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! Look at my health. Look at my health. Okay. Okay. Oh fuck! I didn't bring potions. Okay. 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 We good? Okay. Is that it? Jesus Christ. Okay. I think that's it. Ooh, a tree. Okay. There we go. He's dead. We got him. We're good. We're good. We're good. Dude, we've got it under control. It's cool. We're okay. There we go. Got the message finally. You know, he's just really committed, and I appreciate that. That might be more commitment than just getting fingered, honestly. Like, I'll give it to him. Okay, anything in here? No. Let's see. Anything in here? Oh! Fancy coins, don't mind if I do. Let's see. Restoration book. Okay. Nothing in here. Not in here. Did we check in here? I don't think we did. No. Okay. Let's head back downstairs. Are you good? Are you chill? Okay, I think he's going through something right now, but it's fine. See. I'll take the Alki. Yippee. Okay. Maybe there's something in here? That's what I'm looking for. I know there's like a dossier somewhere on Delphine, I think is what we're looking for. Oh, necklace. Oh no, we already have the Thalmor necklace. I mean, we can try opening this just for the hell of it. I am out of lock. God damn it, I forgot lockpicks. Just when I thought I was okay. Yeah, I think it's downstairs actually. That's right. Yeah, it's here. Okay. I think this is the one. This is the room. This is the room. Okay. Hello? Ooh, there's something over there. Hello? Oh. Okay. Anyone else? We're all gonna be really chill right now. Ooh, reeking cave. What does it reek of? What? Oh, hey. You good?
I told you. I don't know anything else about it.
I am not here to torture you. Well, actually, one more time.
Fine. Whatever you want.
Sorry, I need to know. Okay, I need to know.
There's this old man. I've seen him around Riften.
I need the info. Okay, just one more time, man.
I don't know his name. Yes, he matches the description of this Esbern guy you're looking for. Maybe it's him, maybe it isn't. That's all I know, okay?
Thanks.
Why don't you just kill me already?
Here, let me free you. How do I free him? Is there like a lever or something? Or key?
I told you. I don't know anything else about it.
And I let him go. I gotta be able to let him go, right? And that we need, the Esbern thing.
Listen up, spy.
Oh shit.
You're trapped in here, and we have your accomplice. Surrender immediately, or you both die.
Never mind.
Silence,
I'm
traitor.
dead already.
Move slowly.
Where the fuck? Ah! Maybe we can save somebody. No, shit! Okay, we're good. He's fine. He's fine. He's fine. He's fine. He's fine. He's fine. That was almost kind of scary for him. Yeah, okay, and there's also, I want to get up there because there's was some displays. And I want to know, can we, dude, can you please just jump down normally? Can you please be normal? Thank you. I need to know, we got to be able to get up there. But yeah, it's up here. Okay. I think you have to do the dialogue. Does it release him? Okay, let's do that.
I told you. I don't know anything else.
Let's try this again.
Who?
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Because I did want the intel.
Come on, this way. I've seen the guards use it to get rid of bodies. It must lead somewhere.
Okay, cool. I will follow you.
If you like, but we need to find a way to unlock that
I
trap
have
door.
the key. But thank you, Dracon. I would not have figured that out. Okay, let me see. Ooh, lockpick. Lockpick. Okay, there we go. We have the thing for the trapdoor, but I do want to get, yes, because this right here, display. Let's see, anything else over here? No. Okay, looks like we're good. Let's see. Aha. I probably should check the other rooms, but it's fine. I can always come back. All right. Let's see. And I'm gonna save because I don't want to do that shit again. Okay. Is anyone down here? Oh. I don't see anybody. There's a dead guy. Wait, did I even find all the things I needed to find? Oh, yeah, okay, we got it. Whoa, bones. Okay. Here we go. Maybe over here? No. I might be blind. We all know I'm directionally challenged. Particularly when it comes to caves. Okay, here we go. Oh, yeah, okay. Whee! And no one ever found out it was me. they probably found out it was me. Oh my god. Okay. Did we do it? I think we did it. I think we have thawed the moor. We have no more Thalmor. Oh my god, if the game crashes right now, I'm gonna kill myself. No. No, 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 no! No, 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 no. No. Task manager? Task manager, save me, task manager! Where? No. No, 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 no. Task manager. Not responding! I'm tired of this shit. Well, that was fun. Did you guys have fun? No, I did have a good stream. This was actually really fun. Jokes aside, but I will do that again off stream. We're not doing another repeat. Oh, that was so fucked up. I hated that. I mean, like, I didn't hate it, but I didn't have. I'm not doing it again. I'm not doing it again. Oh, it's you, but as always, thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I do not know. Oh, was it? Thank you for the last hydrate. And the posture check. So I do not know when I'm gonna stream again. All I know is I don't know. I'm not streaming next week because I will be traveling. I will maybe stream the 23rd, probably the 30th, if not the 23rd. But thank you all so much for coming. Thank you all. I really hope you enjoyed the art. I hope you enjoyed the Skyrim. We'll definitely do more art streams soon. I think I just need to get used to it, I guess. I think I need to just get less scared of drawing in front of people. I don't know why. I think I was just like nervous about like, what if I do this and it looks stupid? Which is stupid. Because that's all drawing is, really, if you think about it. So, let me see who is live right now that we can raid. Who can we raid today? Let's find out. Let's see. Let's raid. Let's raid Yume. We will raid Yume. Yume is very sweet. She's a lot of fun. If you like my humor, you will like Yume's humor. So let's raid Yume, or VT Yume, that's what it is. And it looks like she is playing some Devil May Cry, I think, or Resident Evil. Resident Evil 4, that's what it is. She's playing Resident Evil 4. So let's do that. Let me make sure that's right. And then raid message. What are we gonna do for our raid message? Let's do. We'll keep it simple today. eebee raid. eebee raid. Yay! Okay, and we'll do. I think are the Excite emotes. Is that one of the free ones? I think it should be one of the free ones. Let me know if it's not, and I'll make a non-sub version. There we go. Okay, but gamers, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Yeah, I'll make a non-sub one just in case. There we go. eebee raid. And if you want, we'll do one more version for those who are subbed with the gun. If anyone wants a gun, do you guys want a gun? Here, we'll do this one too. Yay! Okay, gun. I love gun. Gun is my favorite. Okay. Yay! Okay, so if you would like to know when I'm streaming next, I will be posting the VOD from last week and this one on YouTube, and I post when I stream on the community tab there. And I will also post on Blue Sky, and if you'd like to see more of my writing and my art, I will post it there. But please have a wonderful rest of your evening. A wonderful rest of your evening, a wonderful week, and I will see you whenever I see you again. All right? Bye-bye!